come on, Clive. You know I'm worth more than that. Damn it, I've been running the London office of an air transport company. What's the good of a few quid's worth of commission? On what? Look, I'm after a decent salaried position. Yes, I know you're trying to help, but quite honestly, I can't see why I shouldn't run the Riviera for you. Well, kick him out. Well, put him somewhere else. Okay. Oh, the good Lord will provide, or something else will turn up. Thanks. Damn you. He's already got a manager for the Riviera Club, so that's that.
I wish you'd go and get dressed. And shaved. You look revolting.
I feel revolting, and I can't see why that matters.
Well, it's gone 9:30, and Emily will be here at 9:45.
Who the devil's Emily?
Another 4 guineas for our overdrawn bank account. That's who Emily is. I've started taking children for the piano again. Well, I've got to, haven't I?
I suppose so. I'd like to wring Cartland's neck.
That won't help the situation one bit. Have you had any offers for the Pussmoth?
Only one nibble so far, a landowner in Yorkshire. But he won't clinch it. Not until the new C of A comes through.
What on earth's that?
The certificate of airworthiness. You can't sell an aeroplane without one.
Oh. What about the Bentley?
I told you.
You didn't?
Didn't I? Sorry, I meant to. I sold it yesterday.
Oh, good. Well, that'll help.
I sold it for just enough to pay off the outstanding HP, and I had to bargain damn hard to get that.
But that car was almost new.
Almost. If a car isn't brand new, it's second-hand, and that's that.
Well, let's just hope and pray something comes of this interview this morning.
I'm not holding out much hope of that. It's very kind of your brother to introduce me to the chap who runs the King George V Jubilee Trust.
Oh, that'll be my pupil. She's early.
Emily?
Yes, you'd better disappear.
Can't see why.
Arthur, I didn't expect you just yet. Jack's not quite ready.
Oh, it was a nice morning, Phil. Decided to walk. Took less time from Victoria than I thought.
I suppose it did.
Good morning, Jack.
Arthur.
I'm sorry. A bit early.
That's all right. Come in. Sit you down. Make yourself at home.
Now, I'll see to Arthur. Now go and get dressed and hurry up.
All right. Heavy hint. I'm off to my boudoir. Excuse me.
I'm sorry he wasn't ready for you. He has had a lot of worries lately, and he's not been sleeping too well.
Oh, what about you?
Oh, me too. Both of us, you can imagine.
Yes, I can. Phil, don't let him go to pieces. Lose his self-respect. Things will improve. Best thing we can do now is find another job for him.
Thank you, Arthur. It is awfully kind of you to arrange this interview this morning. I'm very grateful.
Don't be silly. That's what brothers are for.
I'm sure he won't be long. He does know the time. I'm sorry.
Don't worry, Phil. We'll get there.
Oh, Arthur, it is selfish of me to unload all our troubles onto you when you have worries enough of your own. Now, tell me, have you had any more news about the von Heinigs?
No, not yet. Going to the Foreign Office again today, 12 o'clock. See a chap called Curtis. He may have come up with something.
Where from?
Well, the Berlin Embassy. They're going to wire the consul in Munich, ask them to make discreet inquiries.
Oh, and about Laura, too?
No need, thank goodness. Oh, Vicky telephoned some other friends of hers in Munich, and they told her the Groschels, you know, these people Laura got a job with, teaching their daughter English, gone off to Eibsee on their summer holidays. So Klaus is going to get in touch with them.
Klaus? Has he gone back to Germany?
Yeah. Immediately Charles told him his father's house had been taken over by the Gestapo. Took the first available aeroplane, went off to look for his parents.
Is that wise? I mean, of course, we all hope it is a dreadful mistake. But if they have been arrested...
I know, Phil. Probably very unwise. But what would you think of the boy if he just sat back, done nothing?
You mean you'd do the same? Yes, of course you would. But in fact, can Klaus do more to find than the new can through diplomatic channels?
Oh, it's likely, you know. Nazis don't like foreign inquiries about missing Germans. Von Heinig's a very old family. The General's brother still has a certain amount of influence, I believe.
What do you think yourself?
One keeps hoping, of course, but I think it's very long odds against their still being free. Why else would the Gestapo be in the house?
It's a nightmare.
We all seem to be living in a bit of a nightmare these days.
Oh dear, what a cheerful morning this is. When are you going back to Larkfield?
Oh, this afternoon. A lot of work piling up in the constituency. Not to mention things at home now that Mother's in store.
How's that? All dressed up and somewhere to go. Sorry to have kept you, Arthur.
Oh, not in the least. I must say I'm very impressed by the speed of your transformation.
Oh, I could have been a quick change artist if I'd put my mind to it, but I never had the vocation. Shall I telephone for a taxi?
No need, it's not far. Do us good to walk.
Yes?
Oh, come on, plenty of time if we start now.
All right.
Come along, mate.
Now, look the Commodore straight in the eye and don't talk too much.
Don't worry, I shan't know what to say.
Oh, and call him sir.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good luck, darling. Don't worry.
Don't worry, Phil, I'll do the talking.
It's me, Mrs. Poole.
Yes, I can see it is. Come in, Emily.
Daddy, we tried to ring you at the flat, but you'd already left.
Darling, what is it?
Oh, it's so awful. Laura's granny died this morning. We had a call from Dr. Baird. I was over playing tennis with the Challengers, so Mrs. Gates took the message. Laura won't know, will she?
No, not until Klaus gets in touch with her. He's got other things on his mind at the moment.
I know.
Darling, what are you doing downstairs dressed like that? Catch a death at home.
I was just going to have a bath when I heard the car. Did you have a good journey?
Yes, excellent. Gates, take that box up to her ladyship, would you? Might shove this suitcase in my dressing room at the same time.
Very good, sir.
Well, you better go up and have that bath.
Righto. Daddy, does that mean that Laura will come and live with us now?
I don't know. I'll have to ask her uncle about that. Yes, I expect that'll be the answer. I hope so.
Oh, so do I. If only we could hear that she's definitely with the Groshalls.
Darling, of course she is. Where else could she be?
Yes, of course. She must be.
Beg pardon, sir. I've put your case in your room, sir, and I've given Lady Bourne her things from her London flat, sir. Will that be all?
Yes, thank you very much indeed, Gates. Oh, you might put the car away. Shan't need it again this evening.
Very good, sir.
Oh, by the way, talking about motor cars.
Yes, sir.
How much did you tell me that little second-hand Austin was you saw in Hooper's at Hornbury?
£35, sir.
Which you said you got £20, was it, in your post office savings?
Ah, that's right, sir. We need another £15, sir, to buy that car. Oh, I'm afraid we can't manage that, sir. It wouldn't leave us enough for a rainy day. No, I've told Mrs. Gates that we can't afford it.
I see. Mrs. Gates was quite badly shaken up by that spill you had last weekend, wasn't she?
Ah, she was, sir. Yeah, she's over it now, though.
All the same, I think you better grab that little car for yourselves quick, don't you? Before someone else does.
Oh, well, I'd like to, sir, very much, but I'm afraid it's not possible, sir. Not for us.
It is, actually, if I do a deal with you. You're interested?
A deal? Well, how do you mean, sir?
Well, Gates, as you know, I'd very much like to let you have that car, but with taxes what they are, no flat to keep up in London, all this extra travelling now I'm in Parliament, things are a bit of a squeeze.
Yes.
But prepared to lend you the money, free of interest, of course, give you plenty of time to pay it back, if you'd like to borrow it.
Oh, well, I'm afraid, sir, that we'd never manage to...
No, let me finish.
Sir?
I'm going to put up Mrs. Gates's wages by 7 and 6 a week from today. There'll be a lot of extra work for her now that her ladyship is living here permanently.
Well, that's true, sir, but... Well, thank you very much, sir.
Yours, too, by the same of mine.
Oh.
You'll have to take her ladyship for drives, won't you?
Well, yes, sir, most likely, but... Well, thank you very much, sir.
Oh, there you are, then. I'll get the £35 in cash from the bank first thing in the morning, and you grab the Austin?
Right you are, sir. And we'll pay you back that loan just as soon as we can manage, sir. Oh, the wife will be pleased. Thank you very much, sir.
Not at all, Gate. You can thank Mr. Ashley, actually. He gave me the idea on the telephone last night.
Oh, yes, sir.
Oh, and by the way, you get rid of that infernal machine. I mean, if you can't sell it, then chuck it on the scrap heap.
Yeah, I will, sir. Done us well, the old bike. Still, I suppose it is about time
I'm
that...
damn sure it is.
Aye, aye, sir. And thank you, sir, very much.
Hello? Rosie? Oh, I just got back from London to find your letter. I'd very much like to see you. There's a lot of things to catch up on. Oh, look, what are you doing this evening? Well, why don't you come over and dine? Well, Mother's here. She'd love to see you. Otherwise, just Vicky. Well, bring Peter as well. Oh, and by the way, come early if you can, so we can talk before Mother... Yes. All right. Dinner a date? Good. Mrs. Gates, just coming to find you. Could you manage 2 extra for dinner tonight? Bit of a rush, I'm afraid. Mrs. Cartman, Mr. Peter?
Oh, I think so, sir. We're having the salmon and her ladyship doesn't eat much, so we should be all right. I'll lay for 2 extras, sir.
Good. Dinner a date, then.
Begging your pardon, but Gates has just told me about the money for the car. Oh, it's ever so good of you, sir. As I said to Nanny, you've been really kind to us, and we do appreciate it, sir.
Well, that's all right, Mrs. Gates. I mean, we can't have you falling about all over the place, can we? Hello? What? A telegram? Hold on just for a moment, will you? I want to get this down.
Isn't Klaus, is it?
No, darling, but it is a cable from Germany. All right, I'm ready now. Yes. Yes. All right. Yes, I've got that, thank you very much. A confirmation in the morning would do fine. Thank you.
Was it from Klaus about Laura?
Laura, not with Groschel. Other friends and neighbours have no knowledge of her whereabouts.
Daddy.
Who is it?
Only me, Lady
Oh, it's you, Nanny. What have you got there?
Oh, just some ironing I've been doing for you. I'll pop it in the drawer here.
Thank you, Nanny, so much. I'm afraid there was a lot of laundry. That's what comes from moving house.
Aye, it does. Well, I've sent your sofa and your cushion covers to the cleaners at Holbury, and I've washed your tablecloths and your lace mats myself. There. Now then, how does it feel? Back home again for good?
Well, I'm not quite sure yet. I may miss London after a while.
You're far better off here, Lady Bourne, at home with the family all round you. Handy, you know, just in case.
As long as I'm not in the way.
Well, if you are, I've no doubt the commander will throw you out on your ear.
Oh, Nanny, what a dreadful rough expression to use.
Well, we're living in dreadful rough times.
That's true.
The world's in a dangerous state.
I know it is, Nanny. But how do you know, sitting all alone in your schoolroom?
Well, they're saying it on the wireless every day.
Who?
The BBC. I'm worried about poor wee Laura, too, out there all alone.
Oh, I'm sure she's not alone. They seem to think she's gone on holiday with those Groschel people, with the child who's learning English.
Well, maybe. Maybe Laura is all right. But what about the General and Mrs. von Heinig? The commander's afraid they're in bad trouble with Hitler's police.
Oh, no. I don't think anything like that would happen to the von Heinigs. After all, he was a general in the Kaiser's army, and they both come of very good families. They wouldn't harm people like that.
Maybe not. Well, I better get on with some more ironing.
Thank you, Nanny.
Arthur, has Vicky no idea where else Laura might be?
No, not at all. As soon as I got Klaus's cable, I telephoned the FO, spoke to the duty officer, and they'll do everything they can to trace her. And the von Heinigs. Well, they're already inquiring about them.
Arthur, I think you should be very careful. Do you think you could shut the door, Vicky and Peter?
Yes, of course. Careful. I mean, what sense?
And careful not to... Well, I know you must do everything you can for Laura, but the von Heinigs are different. They're German citizens opposed to the regime. I don't think you should throw too much weight about German Foreign Office circles. You know, considering our recent activities.
No, of course I shan't. Matter of fact, I had already considered that. Especially now I'm an MP.
And a PPS. You're in the public eye, both at home and abroad.
Oh, don't worry. I'll keep my name out of it. Although I must admit, I don't think anyone on the Wilhelmstrasse would suspect me of espionage. Particularly when I've been criticised in the British press for entertaining Germans in my house. I was sending my daughters off to Munich, finish their education.
Well, that doesn't follow. That could be a smokescreen. Still,
they've got to be found, somehow. Laura and the von Heinigs.
Denounce them? Klaus? How can you say such a thing? That's horrible and cruel and beastly of you.
You don't know what it's like out there, Vicky.
Don't know. I've just been out there, haven't I? And 2 years ago I lived there for months on end. Anyway, I know Klaus better than you do.
Do you? Do you really know him?
Yes, I do. All right, I know he's been in the Hitler Youth and now he's a member of the Nazi Party, but he wouldn't tell on his own parents. He wouldn't risk them being thrown into prison or a labour camp or something. He's not like that.
Why do you think I blasted you for telling Klaus what his father said about Hitler at dinner that night?
It's got nothing to do with Klaus. He loves his parents.
Then where are they? Where are the von Heinigs and Laura? What's happened to them? You tell me.
I don't know.
Well, I'm not sitting here on my backside when Laura might be in the hands of the secret police, probably being tortured or something, for simply living in the von Heinigs' house.
You can't do anything, Peter.
Oh, yes, I can.
What, for example? Oh, come on, Peter. Now, what can you do, for example?
Well, for example, I can fly out to Munich in one of the company planes. Dan will find out for myself what's happened. To Laura and to the von Heinigs. Go to their house.
Peter, no, for heaven's sake, what are you thinking of?
Why not?
Well, are you mad? Arthur, tell him.
Now, wait a minute. And why not go out by a normal passenger flight?
Well, it might be useful to have a plane out there if I've got to move around the country. I'll have to clear it with my father first. I'm sure he'll agree.
I see. Now, would your company have an aeroplane available?
Oh, certainly.
And a pilot?
Oh, no need for a pilot. I can fly it myself. Just borrow a navigator. Oh, I can put the papers through the Civil Air Authority within 24 hours. Leave the day after tomorrow. And stay out there until I find Laura.
Well, in that case, Peter, I'll come with you.
Daddy!
Oh, why not, darling? 2 heads better than one, especially in a foreign country.
Arthur, I don't
what?
I don't think it would be very wise for you to go after our discussion in there, do you?
Rosie, it's perfectly reasonable. I should be looking for Laura. I mean, I'm responsible for her.
But not the von Heinigs.
Oh, don't worry, we'll be discreet. Well, if Klaus needs any help, I'll do what I can via the embassy. Meantime, we'll concentrate on Laura, and Klaus, I'm afraid he'll have to go on looking for his parents.
Do you really think that's what he's doing?
Of course he is. What do you think he rushed off home for?
Collecting his 30 pieces of silver from Himmler, I wouldn't doubt.
Peter, how dare you say that? That's foul and mean.
Oh, children, please.
We are not children, Rosie.
Nevertheless, the remark was uncalled for. Extremely cruel.
Yes. I'm sorry.
It's all right. Now, you get on to your father as soon as you can. Find out if that aeroplane is available.
Right.
What on earth does Geoffrey Cartland want with me now?
I've told you 100 times he didn't say on the telephone, so I don't know.
All I know is he's got an infernal nerve inviting himself here after what he did to me.
Jack. Now, whatever it is, for heaven's sake, don't make a scene.
What do you expect me to do? Welcome him with open arms? Thank him for ruining my career?
No, darling. I just want you to try and be a little polite and civilized.
Polite? He's probably going to tell me he's made a mistake giving me a year's salary and wants me to pay it back.
Oh, don't be silly. If it was anything like that, he'd have written again.
All right. All right, keep calm. I'll be civilized. I'll make polite small talk and let him make the running, all right? Come in.
I'm glad you could fit me in, Jack. Good evening. You mean, Phil? I won't take up much of your time. I've got to meet Penny at the Savile Theatre in half an hour.
What would you like to drink?
A whiskey, please. No water.
Hey,
What are you going to see?
It's the new Beverly Nichols review. Penny's choice.
Oh, yes. Floodlight. I know the star.
Do you?
Francis Day. He's a very old friend of mine. Geoffrey.
Thank you.
I trust you have time to sit down.
Oh, yes, thanks, sir.
So, what can we do for you?
Well, I'll make it brief. Jack, I want you to forget what I said to you in that letter. Try to understand why I did what I did. Also, I'd like you to consider going to Nice for me, head of the new wing of Pool Aviation. It'll be a charter flying, bringing passengers and freight, London to Paris, on to Riviera. I'll give you a 3-year contract and up to your salary. Go down there and enjoy the sunshine and enjoy the job. You interested?
Are we interested?
I need you, actually.
Geoffrey, I don't know what to say after
Oh,
what
after we
happened.
let you down, sir, it was my fault, really.
No, Phil. It was my fault. It wasn't yours. It wasn't Jack's.
We did let you down with Rosie.
Yes, but I lost my temper on paper. I didn't want Rosie to know about that trip. I wasn't contemplating divorce at that time. Now Rosie's made up her mind, and I've made up mine. I'm going to marry Penny and make a go of it. And you won't be seeing us around Herefordshire. I bought a house in South Notts country. Penny can go hunting foxes instead of husbands. Well, I've made my bed, and there'll be no turning back. So, before bowing out of your lives, I wanted to make things right with you two. What do you think, Jack?
I think that goes without saying, does it not, my dear wife?
Geoffrey, you're an angel. Thank you.
Well, you better thank Peter as well. It was his idea in the first place. Well, that's settled. I'll get on to the office and get them to draw up a contract for you.
You must have another drink.
Just a quick one.
Yeah.
Mustn't be late for the theatre or Penny will give me hell.
Already, old chap?
Already.
I do hope I haven't kept everybody waiting.
No, not in the least, Mother. Plenty of time.
Rosie, my dear. How nice.
Alice, what a beautiful dress. Doesn't she look marvellous?
Not too bad.
Good evening, Lady Bourne.
Hello, Peter. It's a wonder I've got a rag to my back. Phyllis made me throw out nearly all my evening dresses before I left the flat. Is dinner ready? I'm famished.
No, I'm afraid not, Mother. Mrs. Gates hasn't announced it yet.
Oh.
Would you like some sherry?
No, thank you, dear. I'll just sit down if you don't mind. Well, what's the news? You're all very quiet. Has anything happened?
Well, there's still no news of the Von Heinigs. Apparently Laura is still missing.
Missing?
At any rate, she's not with the Groschels. So, Peter and I, we thought we might possibly...
You and Peter thought you might possibly what, dear?
Sounds like a car, Daddy. Listen.
Oh, go and see who it is, darling, would you?
Might be Lisbeth. Laura! Thank heavens you're safe. Safe? Why shouldn't I be safe? Hello, everyone.
turn up suddenly like this, only there wasn't enough time to ring you up as well before the boat train left Harwich, and I only had 25 minutes to get from Liverpool Street to Paddington to catch the Horbury train.
Laura, are you quite sure you're all right?
Of course, why not? Perfectly all right, thank you.
And the von Heinigs?
The von Heinigs? Didn't you know?
Klaus is in Munich. He's searching for them?
Searching for them? Why?
Well, quite obviously you haven't been told. When did you leave their house?
Well, the day after Vicky left. I gave up teaching the Groschel child English because it turned out to be a waste of time. So when Manfred asked me to go and stay at his cousin's chalet near Salzburg...
Manfred de las Rivas?
Yes. Well, I went. Oh, it was too marvellous for words. You should have been there, Vicky. Toscanini was conducting Falstaff, and we saw Rosencavalier...
So you haven't been in Munich at all?
No. Well, not for days. I flew back with Manfred direct from Vienna by Lufthansa. Wonderfully comfortable. Gosh, those German planes are so much better than our poor old Imperial Airways things. Do you know, they have tubes by your seat so you can breathe in fresh air.
Laura, do you know that General and Frau von Heinig have disappeared? The house has been taken over by the Gestapo.
No, I didn't know. But I'm not surprised. They were always running down the Fuhrer when they thought no one was listening.
But they could have been executed or put in a labour camp, Laura.
Yes. I am told that's the usual penalty now for treachery against the Reich. I suppose I'd better go up and take off my things.
Laura, I'm sorry. We have some very sad news for you, too.
You mean my grandmother, don't you?
Oh, yes. I'm afraid she died this morning.
Yes, I did know because I just had time to ring up Connaught Square from Harwich to say I was back. My uncle was there and he told me. Poor Granny.
Laura, we're all very sorry. It must be a very great shock for you. Would you like me to come upstairs? I'm sure there's time before dinner to help you unpack your things.
It's quite all right. I can manage, thank you. Nobody need come up.
Look, please let me...
I'd rather not have a lot of fuss. After all, she was an old lady. Incidentally, the funeral's on Friday afternoon in London, so I'll have to find something black to wear and go down by train in the morning. Manfred's in London, staying at Claridge's, so he can give me a lift to the church in his car. And please, don't wait dinner for me. Do start.
Dinner served, sir.
Well, thank you very much, Mrs. Gates. Oh, Mother, Rosie, we better go in.
Yes,
Vicky,
come along, Alice.
I'm sure Laura will come down when she feels like it.
Come on, Peter. Dinner's ready. Gosh, doesn't black suit you?
I shall boil in this coat, but I haven't got a summer one.
Daddy's had to go out somewhere. He said, would you ring up when you know which train you're coming back on, so Gates can meet you?
Yes, okay.
Tomorrow, I suppose.
I'm not sure when I'll be back. Depends.
Yes, I see. I do hope the funeral won't be too sad.
Don't worry. I shan't cry.
Well, I think all funerals are sad, even for old people.
What's your Aunt Phyllis's telephone number? Can you remember it?
Yes, it's Langham 2315. Why?
I may go and see her while I'm in London.
Oh, good. Well, I'm sure she'd love to see you.
Ah, all ready to go. That's a good girl. I've just come to say goodbye.
Goodbye.
I went to your room this morning, but you were already up and dressed.
I couldn't sleep, that's why.
Ah, yes. I've not had time to tell you how sorry I was about your dear Granny. Such a fine lady. I expect you'll miss her a great deal. Well, just to say how we all feel for you, dearie, in your sad loss.
Thank you. Now, where's my case? Ah, there it is. Are you coming in for the ride? See me off on the puffer?
No, I don't think I will, if you don't mind.
Okay.
We'll see you when you get back, then.
Yes. We'll have to scorch, Kate, so I'll miss my train.
You mind it, Chris?
Hello, Phil. I'm sorry to barge in, but I telephoned twice and there's no reply.
Oh, I expect we were asleep.
Huh?
What time is it?
Just after 10 o'clock.
Oh.
Jack about?
No, he's in bed. Oh, I'm sorry, but it's all your fault. After you brought us the good news, we decided to go out and celebrate last night and you'd gone to the theatre. How was your review, by the way?
Floodlight, charming.
Any good tunes?
Yes, several. John Mills and Francis Dave got this marvellous number. We Want a Little White Room, and Penny's got it on the brain. She was humming it when she woke up this morning. She was humming the damn thing in the bath when I left. Where did you two get to?
Well, we started off respectably enough at Ciro's, and then Jack wanted to go to our old haunt, the Florida, because we both love Adelaide Hall. And we drifted onto the slip-in and we ended up at the Nest. We stayed there till 4:30 this morning.
Lord, you were a gentleman night out, weren't you?
Well, come in and sit down. Tell me what brings you. Would you like a cup of coffee?
No, thank you. I won't stay. The thing is, I'm going back to Wolverhampton this afternoon. As I told you last night, I don't expect to see the two of you in the near future. So I rather wanted to ask you a favor.
Geoffrey, we owe you so many favours. What can we do for you?
Well, I know what you think. It's Arthur particularly, and the two girls, and well, everyone at Larkfield. And now Rosie, and even my own son.
What do we think?
Well, to put it bluntly, and I don't really blame them, they think I'm some old rake chasing after young girls, you know, skirt. But it's not like that, Phil. Penny's a charming young woman. She's fun to be with, and well, I know she cares for me very much. I do believe that. And I don't want people thinking that she's just a rapacious, hard-headed minx. Because she's not. I wouldn't marry if she was. Phil, I want them to understand that. And I think they listen to you, Phil. All of them.
My dear Geoffrey, if Penny can make you happy, then I'm all for her, and I think we all would be. It's the most important thing, after all. Not how she makes you happy, but if she does.
And of course she does. I want them to know this and to like her. You see?
Understood.
Milk and sugar or lemon?
Oh, lemon, please, and no sugar. Well, isn't this nice and cosy?
It's quieter than Victoria Street, I can tell you.
Are you going to miss your flat?
A little. There.
Thank you. Well, have you any news for me? Any gossip I should know?
My dear, I know nothing. Shut up in my little tower, how can I?
Oh, Alice, what a thing to say. This room is like a railway station, people coming in and out with trays and chatter.
Well, you've heard the good news about Phyllis and Jack.
Yes, Arthur told me. Do you know, whatever his faults, I think Geoffrey will go to heaven in the end, don't you? For everything he's done since as a penance?
Arthur said he was quite desperate to find someone to go and run that office in the south of France.
Oh, Alice, don't spoil it.
Well, that's what Arthur said.
May I have one of these delicious sandwiches?
Do help yourself.
Any tea left?
Plenty. Come in, Arthur.
Just a cup, Mother. Got one gag. Been trying to clear the scum off the pond. That's a messy job. Yeah, the boat leaks.
Yeah. Well, sit down now. Pour you a lovely cup of tea.
Well, what have you two been up to? Having a nice old gossip?
Absolutely, haven't we, Alice?
We've been exchanging news. Not gossiping, that's malicious.
That's our bet. Oh, by the way, Mother, thanks. I sent a wreath for Dame Violet from all of us, including you.
Good. Poor Laura. Poor girl. Well, do you know that woman was 3 years younger than me? It was in the Times yesterday.
Well, I'm not quite sure what to reply to that, sir. I mean, congratulations, or beware.
Really?
Excuse me, my lady. This telegram just arrived for you, sir. I brought it straight up in case it was important.
Yes, that's quite right. Would you? Thank you. No answer, thank you, Mrs. Gates.
What is it, Arthur?
It's from young Klaus again. Augsburg. Oh, what's he doing there? Location and condition of my parents now established. Please instruct Berlin Embassy discontinue official inquiry. I don't much like the sound of that, do you?
No, I don't. Bit cryptic, isn't it?
Thank God, I hope they're all right.
Aren't you going to have your tea?
No, thanks very much, Mother. Rosie, would you stand tall?
Well, of course.
Oh, Daddy, I've been looking for you.
Wait, Harry, I was down at the pond. You've been reading?
Yes, in the summer house. What's the matter?
I just had a somewhat puzzling telegram from Christ. If his English wasn't so correct, I think that phrase location and condition is fairly reassuring. I mean, it could mean they'd gone off on holiday somewhere and were in good health, but...
If that were the case, he'd say so, wouldn't he?
Yes, exactly. He would.
Daddy?
Yes?
You don't really think Klaus... Well, you know what Peter thinks. Could have given them away.
denounced them.
Yes, could he? Could Klaus do that? Well, people do in Germany, don't they?
I think we mustn't jump to conclusions about Klaus or his parents. And when we get a letter, then we shall know the truth.
Much too much soda. Say, I'm thinking of getting tight this evening.
Good idea. Why?
Oh, I don't know. Celebrating your new job in Fool's Aviation.
Fool's Aviation, I love it.
So do I. Jack Fool, that's me, the flying idiot. Here's to it, i.e. the company. To you, to me, to Phil, and last but not least, to your daddy for seeing the light.
With a little nudge from his son, yes?
Oh, I don't know about that.
I do. It was your idea in the first place.
Who told you that?
Your dear father told us when he came round with the good news.
So there.
Thank you, Peter. For always.
Yes, thanks. Thanks for saving me from a fate worse than death.
Oh, touting for Clive's sordid little night spot.
Oh, good Lord, no. That would have been death itself. No, you saved me from taking a job my dear brother-in-law had in line for me. A job with the King George V Jubilee Trust. It's perfectly worthy work, you know, looking into charitable claims and handling the funds.
So what happened?
Well, Arthur took Jack to meet this old salt. And when they got there was a whole committee of them.
Old admirals and retired generals all sitting in a circle round a table.
Well, Arthur introduced Jack with a most tremendous boost. And then they asked him what experience he'd had in handling large sums of money. Now, can you guess what my brilliant, brainy husband told them?
What?
That he'd run a book at Harrow before defaulting and had stood in one season for the croupier in a casino in Trouville-sur-Mer.
That went down a treat.
I'll bet.
Oh, excuse me.
I don't know, Jack.
Yes.
Well, how's things?
Well, good Lord, you're in London.
Do you think there's going to be enough room for us on that airport at Nice? I mean, hangars and servicing facilities?
Well, so I'm told. We'll have to see. The Spanish War's scared off quite a few airlines. And the Met's getting a pretty hot spot, you know.
Absolutely.
Yes, of course you can. We'll expect you in about 10 minutes then. Yes. Oh, Peter's here and He's run off.
Oh, what was that all about?
It's Laura. She's in London.
Laura?
Yes, she came down this afternoon for Dame Violet's funeral. She's going out to dinner tonight, wants to get out of her black, and asked if she could come and change here.
Here? Why can't she change where she lives?
Well, she says the house at Connaught Square's full of her aunt and uncle and lawyers looking for papers. She thinks they'd disapprove of her going out tonight.
Yes, in that case, I think I shall finish my drink and be off, if you don't mind.
Oh, Peter, why?
Oh, Peter, what do you want to leave for? I thought that you and she were...
I think it's best if I clear off. I think it'll only be embarrassing if we should meet here, face to face. So ask him.
Have you had a row?
No, I just think it's better if I do a bunk before she comes, so she can tart herself up for the Spanish Hun who's obviously dining here tonight. So if you don't mind.
Well, if you're quite sure.
Absolutely.
Well, don't get too squiffy.
Good night, Phyllis. Au revoir, Jack.
Au revoir. Well, what has happened to our shy, timid, mousy little Miss Laura Collins?
Been abroad, hasn't she? Learned a thing or two. Poor Peter.
Yeah, everyone keeps saying, poor Peter. You must admit he can't keep 'em. Doesn't stay in racing terms. Nothing over 5 furlongs.
Well, I better go and tidy up the spare room. Laura won't want to change in an atmosphere of squalor if she's being taken out to dine by a Spanish marquise.
Could I speak to Sir Robert, please? Commander Bourne, thank you. Oh, hello, Van. Sorry to trouble you in the country. You've got weekend guests. Oh, good. Well, I just rang to thank you very much indeed for all your help. Yes, Collins got his back. It rang Curtis at once. No, it's nothing sinister at all. Been in Austria the whole time with some people she met out there. No definite news about the von Heinigs. No, it's not too good, I know. Well, I agree. Nothing much we can do. I best keep out of it, I suppose. Their own relations over there, yes. But, yes, one would hope so. They're a bunch of ruthless gangsters. And all HM government does is to suck up to them. No, of course they won't. They'll go on and on until somebody stops them. And it won't be the French.
How are you getting on?
Oh, fine. What's the time?
2 minutes to 8.
Oh, gosh, is it?
Well, don't panic. He's bound to be late. Spaniards have no sense of time.
Germans have, and he's more German than Spanish.
In looks or character?
Oh, character. He looks very Spanish. Terribly dark, with the most penetrating eyes you've ever seen. I say, do you mind zipping me up?
Of course not.
Oh, God, is it broken? Oh, that's done yet. I wish they'd never invented the things. Here he is. He's early.
No, hang on. I'll get some scissors.
Oh.
It's only a start.
Mrs. Poole's flat?
That's right. Come in.
Thank you.
I'm Jack Poole. How do you do?
Fred de las Rivas.
Afraid Laura's not ready yet, so let me give you a snifter.
Snifter? You know, I don't believe I've heard that word since I left Harrow.
Good Lord. Sling them on that chair. Were you at Harrow? Me too, before your time, of course. Whose house were you in?
Bowen's.
Is old Bottlenose Bowen still alive?
He was when I left, but I only stayed 2 years.
Don't tell me you left under a cloud, too.
No, it was all planned. I went on to an academy in Switzerland.
Oh, I see. Yes, well, we must have a chinwag about the old alma mater sometime. Meanwhile, what'll it be? Whiskey and soda or a cocktail? Gimlet?
No, nothing for me at the moment, thank you.
Are you sure?
So.
Well, sit down.
Thank you.
You know, you gave us quite a scare running off to Salzburg with our Laura like that. And we thought the pigs in the German secret police had got her. Awful panic this end.
Oh, yes?
It was rather. Tell me, as a Spaniard, do you think Franco will succeed in overthrowing your government in the end?
Not my government. Theirs. The Reds, who got rid of our king. And you can take it from me, Franco will win. Probably by next summer.
Really?
I think so. I hope so. There is still a lot of fighting to be done. The Reds are still particularly strong around Madrid.
I presume your family are on Franco's side?
Naturally. We're an old family. And a Catholic family.
Quite. You ever thought of going out there yourself to help? I mean, join Franco's army and fight?
I intend to go very soon. To help. Not to fight.
Help?
Yes, I'm forming an ambulance unit from some friends in Munich and in London. Young men and women of good family. We sail from Tilbury to Irun or San Sebastian, and then by road to Burgos. Laura will be coming with us to help nurse the sick and wounded.
Good Lord. Isn't that a bit dangerous for a girl?
Well, thousands of women on both sides were nursing very near the front lines during the Great War.
Oh, quite, but they were risking their lives for their own countries, whereas Laura
understands perfectly well there are only two sides today. Right and left. Christianity and communism. She's brave and intelligent, and ready to risk her life to help rid the world of the evil of Bolshevism. Aren't I right, Laura?
Absolutely, darling, except I'm not sure about brave or intelligent. If you're ready, I am.
Oh, what is this, Laura?
Oh, sorry, this is Manfred de las Rivas, Mrs. Poole.
Oh, how do you do?
He says he's taking Laura to Spain in an ambulance unit, as a nurse.
Oh, why didn't you tell me? Are you mad? The war in Spain has nothing to do with you. What do you think you're up to? You've never nursed in your life.
I learned first aid in the guides.
The guides? Do you know what it'll mean? It is a war, Laura. People are being killed by the thousand every day.
She's well aware of the dangers. I have warned her. We'll have all the usual inoculations before we sail. Typhoid, paratyphoid, cholera, tetanus, and so on.
How are you going to stand the sight of hideously wounded men? With gangrene? And the flies? And the heat? And the dust? And the shelling and the bombing? Oh, Jack, for goodness sake, explain to the child.
I am not a child, Phyllis. I know what I believe in, and I know what I'm doing. Manfred and I have talked a lot about this ambulance idea, and I'm determined to go. Well, you've all been very kind to me, having me to stay at Larkfield, and I love you all very dearly. But I'm not going to go on sitting around up there just reading in the newspaper about what's going on in Spain and listening to the commander and the others talking about the war as though they hoped the Reds would win and then the League of Nations would make everything all right. They don't seem to realise what it's really about. They don't seem to understand that if General Franco did lose, the floodgates would be opened. This is the final struggle against world Bolshevism, isn't it, Manfred? Well, tell them what you told me.
Laura is right, don't you see? The nationalist governments in Berlin and Rome, Japan for that matter, are fighting the disease of international communism. And now, thank God, Spain is too. My own country is also in the fight. And we shall win. And Laura and some of my other friends in England will help us to win. I'm very proud of Laura. And don't worry, I'll take care of her.
Does Arthur know about this?
No, he doesn't. I don't really see what it has to do with him.
Don't you?
Laura, your grandmother is dead. Your uncle and aunt have no concern for you. You're part of the Bourne family now, and we're responsible for you.
I am responsible for myself and to myself. I am not a child. And, as he said just now, Manfred will take care of me. Perhaps we should be off if our table at the Écurie de France is booked for 8:30.
Yes, we must go. I'm sorry if things got a little heated just now, but after all, it is the whole future of Christian civilization that's at stake. Perhaps it's only people of our generation who understand that. But that's no reason why we shouldn't meet again and have that chinwag. Good night, Mrs. Poole. Thank you. Come along, Laura.
Good night, Phyllis, and thanks for the use of your dressing table.
Oh, not at all. Any time. I didn't care for that crack about our generation. What's all this about a chinwag?
He was at Harrow.
I might have guessed.
No, but what about it, old girl? Seriously, about Laura going off, I mean.
Stupid, stupid child.
Craving for adventure, I suppose.
It's not just adventure she's craving for. Anyone can see that.
Well, it wouldn't catch me out there. Not even if it meant ridding the world of Bolshevism. It's too damn dangerous.
Oh, it's all so ridiculous. And there's Laura, who's never set foot in Spain in her life and doesn't speak a word of Spanish, rushing off to nurse for the Phalangist army. And that, Julian Andrews, who was up at Oxford with Liz and lives 2 miles away from Halbury, left home last week to join the International Brigade. So now they're enemies.
Bit of a farce, eh?
Well, they should be in Herefordshire this summer, playing each other at tennis, not playing soldiers in Spain.
I think we'll all be playing soldiers before long, so let's not talk about it, eh? Just pass me that whiskey and soda, will you? Thanks. You're very quiet.
Am I?
Penny for them.
Oh, I'm just thinking.
What?
You know, in a way, I rather envy Laura. Isn't that odd?
Very odd.
Is that you, Mrs. Gates?
No, Mum, it's me. Just lighting the fire. I reckon they'll be glad of it when they get back from the cricket.
I expect they will. Would you tell Mrs. Gates that Nanny and I have finished tea if she'd like to collect the tray?
Very good, Mum. I'll tell her. You can pick up Nanny's tray whenever you want.
Right. I don't know. I reckon they must be daft playing cricket in this weather.
Well, they won't be playing in this.
Won't be playing?
Well, they'll be sitting in the pavilion waiting.
Waiting what for?
Well, for the rain to stop and the pitch to dry.
Seems even dafter. Some day for a dinner party.
Mrs. Poole wants me to overhaul her car for her.
Good thing it's just the Cartlands and the family. You what?
Mrs. Poole wants me to overhaul her Buick for her while they're in France.
What do you mean, overall?
Well, brakes, clutch, steering, springs, everything.
Oh. Well, you have time.
Make time. The extra cash will help us pay off the commander what we owe him for the car.
Ah, that's true. Wonder what Miss Phyllis is going to do with her London flat while they're away.
Oh, I wouldn't know about that.
Well, I mean, they'll have to have somewhere to come back to when they leave, won't they?
Well, I suppose so.
How long do you reckon they'll be out there?
Well, in France?
Yeah.
Well, it depends on how long he can hold down the job. Oh, I reckon there'd be a fair amount of temptation for him out there. What with all those casinos and those French mademoiselles and that.
He's a married man.
Well, that don't mean nothing nowadays.
Fred?
I hope they won't be long. They'll be absolutely soaked.
Aye, they will that. See, look what I've found.
Oh, little women. Nanny, why have you decided suddenly to sort out my old books?
Oh, it's high time we had a good clear out. What with you going away to live in foreign parts? And see, what about that one?
Oh, yes, please. Keep.
I don't know. Every time I try to clear out any of your things, you always insist on me putting them right back again.
I know. Silly, isn't it? Nanny?
Aye?
Why don't you come and visit us in France?
Right away down to the Côte d'Azur. Oh, a bit far at my time of life.
You could come to Paris.
Paris?
Yes, when Jack and I are there on business, you could join us.
What would I be doing in Paris, what did you say?
We could take you to the Folies Bergère.
Oh, the Folies Bergère. I have heard of that. Where the French ladies dancing with no clothes on.
It's quite normal over there, Nanny.
Oh, is it now? Aye, indeed. I think I see me. Oh, look. Your old French dictionary. Miss Gribble gave you that. You better take it with you.
Yes, I think I will.
Oh, dear, dear me. These men will catch their deaths at that cricket match.
Nanny, look at this.
What's that?
Playbox Annual 1907.
Oh, come in.
Just take the tea tray if that's all right.
There you are, dear.
Excuse me, Miss Phyllis. Her ladyship said, could you spare her a few minutes, please?
Of course. I won't be long, Nanny.
Nanny's been having a right old gossip with Miss Phyllis.
Mrs. Poole.
I reckon I'll get used to it one of these days. Just listen to that rain, Fred. I hope they're all right. They're a long time at that cricket match, aren't they?
Oh, good hour's drive back from Durson.
I wouldn't have stayed there all this time. Not on a day like this, anyway. Yeah, I hope they haven't had a skid.
Oh, I shouldn't think so.
Don't you think you ought to go and look for them, Fred? I mean, now we've got our little Austin.
Don't be silly. They've gone in 2 cars. If one of them's in any trouble, somebody would have rung up. Now, stop fussing, Eileen.
Oh, well done, Arthur. They've brought us into harbour with the greatest of skill. What do you say, Captain Palmer?
Oh, absolutely. Arthur was always a first-class navigator, even in the dirtiest weather.
When I lost a convoy in the Channel in a force 10.
Oh,
What?
yes, I remember. You were asleep, weren't you?
Yeah, that's the point.
Well, even the Bournes can't be expected to be on watch for 24 hours a day, and he did find it.
Which part of the
Good
convoy
evening,
were you
sir.
in?
Oh, I am glad to see you back safe and sound.
Oh, why shouldn't we be?
That's what Gates kept saying, sir. Would you like some tea?
Oh, no, thanks, Mrs. Gates. We had an enormous cricket tea in the pavilion at Durston. Oh, good, I see you lit a fire.
Oh, yes. Well, Gates did that, just in case you came back soaked.
No, not weird, Mrs. Gates.
No, we just had to scamper from the pavilion to the car and from the car to the front door.
Yes, but decidedly chilly. This fire is just what the doctor ordered.
Yes, I think the doctor would prescribe a warming drink too, don't you?
Well, if you're sure there's nothing I can get for you, sir.
No, I don't think so, Mrs. Gates. Oh, you might bring in a bottle of ginger wine, will you?
What? Ginger wine?
Oh, for the girls when they get back, huh? They'll be here with Mr. Peter in a minute.
Very good.
Unless, of course, you've lost your convoy again.
Goodness.
Ahoy there! What happened to you? I thought that Bugatti of yours would come zooming past us on the final straight.
No, I stopped to give Frank Chapman a lift.
Oh, he was walking home from the village, absolutely soaked, with a sack over his head. Oh, you lit a fire.
That was Gates.
Showing the zeal and initiative one would expect from an old marine.
I'm sorry, Peter, but you simply must explain.
there we are,
I
Julie.
hate to not understand it.
What things?
Well, you know what you were talking about with Frank Chapman in the car. About the Australians all being furious with us. I mean, what was body line?
No, that's
body
a
line?
good
Very
idea.
well.
Notion, dream.
Well, it was more or less what the name implied.
Well, it's
that's
very
quick
strict as I
understood.
understood it.
Well, as you can see, it provokes a certain amount of argument among cricketers.
Yes.
But no, I'm afraid we haven't really explained it, have we?
Oh, Daddy, no, you haven't.
But thank you for trying.
No, look here. This isn't good enough. This was an issue which nearly split the empire. I think Laura's got a right to know about it.
Certainly. If she thought the Dominion of Australia was about to secede, I should say that she has a duty to know.
Well, in that case, I suggest only one person does the explaining.
Well, you're the parliamentarians, huh?
Go on, Daddy, speech.
No, Arthur, I'm sorry, but explanation's no good. What we need is a demonstration.
Absolutely right. Demonstration before explanation, the first maxim of a good instructor.
Right. So come on, girls. Help me clear a bit of space, will
What?
you?
Oh.
Peter, go and get a bat. Vicky, you get the other end of the sofa.
Oh, you don't want me to pad up, do you?
How was Lady Bourne?
She's got a bit of a headache. She's going to go to bed early. She's fussing about Liz, too. Afraid she'll catch a cold being in a tent in this rain.
Maybe it's not raining in Wales.
Oh, yes, it is. It's what started Mother off. She heard a forecast on the wireless and said there was torrential rain all over the West Country.
Oh, but Liz went off with plenty of warm clothing, waterproof too. Oh, she can take care of herself. She's a sensible lassie. Now, if it was Vicky or my darling wee Anne, things would be different. No, there's no call to fashion with Elizabeth.
All the same, I wouldn't fancy living in a tent in this weather. I'd better go down. I heard a car.
Oh, that big noisy foreign motor car of Mr. Peter Cartland's, eh? Off you go then. I'll be down in a minute to see if Annie needs any help with her dinner party tonight.
Well, there's no call for you to be doing that, Fred. Mrs. Webb will be in later to help.
Why, in this weather? I wondered.
Well, perhaps you could run down and fetch her in our little car.
Ah, perhaps I could. What's that you got there, then?
Ginger wine. The commander asked for it for the girls. He said they needed something to warm them up.
Now, do you begin to see the point?
Well...
Mind you, your bowler's got to be accurate as well as fast, otherwise he's going to find himself clouted all over the offside.
Why?
Because we've only got 3 men over there, and one of them's in the slips.
And that's why they call it leg theory.
It's because there are 6 of us in the leg trap. Well, in point of fact, there are only 4, but we count as 1.5 each.
Now then, assuming that your Larwood or your Vos know what they're about, and they do, this is how it works.
We've disappeared.
Ready? Well done, Arthur! And there you are, you see. Now, instead of bowling for a slip catch or at the wicket, you bowl at the man. Nobody wants to be hit by a cricket ball travelling at 90 miles per hour, so what does he do? He defends himself with his bat.
Yeah, and he's caught by Arthur in the leg trap. Congratulations, Pooh. It's the finest demonstration I've seen since my gunnery instructor at Dartmouth fired at... Ah, well, that's another story. Yeah.
So, you did go to the pub on the way back?
Absolutely not, darling, I promise you. Nothing but sticky buns and tea in the pavilion.
Then what do you think you're doing, all of you? Look at this room.
Well, to put it in a nutshell, rain may stop play at Durston, but never at Larkfield.
I'm afraid it was my fault. I asked a question about cricket.
Oh, my dear girl, will you never learn?
No, never. She'll be asking questions about bullfights soon.
Oh, well, there's the ginger wine. Put it on the table, will you, Mrs. Gates? And then the girls can help themselves.
Yes, it'll keep the chill of an English summer out of their bones, huh?
Well, Julian, I think we might adjourn, don't you? Leave the bright young things to put the room straight.
Well, it is one of the privileges of seniority.
Well, my darlings, it looks as if that party's over. Let's all have Whiskey Max, and then we can put the room straight, shall we?
Even those young things.
Even the young ones.
That's, Jack Poole's a noisy fella, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
What are you looking for?
A photograph. Thought it might amuse you. It's in one of these albums. Launch October 1921. Oh, I think it's in this one.
Where did Phil meet her, Mr. Poole?
Cape Cod, Massachusetts, no less. Sometime last year.
Oh. Well, I like the fella. I can't imagine why, apart from the fact that Phyllis seems to be very happy with him.
Yes. Yes, they suit each other. There we are. HMS Bologna, October 21, Malta.
Oh, how ridiculously young we all look.
Oh, I suppose we were. That's 15 years ago. It's a long time.
Yes. Oh, that's Bill. Yes, he's done well for himself, hasn't he? And that's young David Whittaker. Went in the Fleet Air Arm, didn't he? Got himself killed practicing for the Schneider Trophy.
Yes, that's right. 1929. That was a rotten business.
Yes. HMS Bologna. A happy ship. Do you ever regret having retired early?
Oh, sometimes. When my old father died, it seemed the obvious thing to do. I mean, somebody had to run the place. And Helen, not too keen on following the flag with 3 little girls.
No, of course not.
Yes, I missed it at first.
I say, that's Lizzie's christening, isn't it? Who was the other godfather? I forget.
Come on, Morris Fuller, the old rector.
Ah, yes.
Dear old boy. He's about to retire. You'll see him again tomorrow.
And you're Helen. What a beauty. Yeah, and what an extraordinarily plain baby my goddaughter was. Well.
We used to infuriate Nanny by calling her the little pink pig.
I can hardly believe it. My beautiful goddaughter.
Well, she's very fond of you. She'd be delighted if you do decide to release the mill house from Rosie Carter.
Oh, well, it's practically settled. I shall be moving in a month or so.
But meanwhile, you must stay here.
Well, are you sure? I mean, I can easily put up at the hotel at Winchcombe.
Oh, no, not in any comfort you couldn't. Besides, as a matter of fact, it would suit me down at the ground because I have to be away quite a bit in the next few weeks. You could sort of stand in for me and keep an eye on things generally.
Right. In that case, I shall certainly stay. Of course, I shall have to go back to Cornwall at some time, sell the house and arrange for the move and so on.
Oh, fine. Come and go as you like.
Oh, thank you. You know, I rather fancy myself in the role of a paterfamilias.
All right. You can start rehearsing tomorrow because I've got to go away for a couple of days.
Oh, anything interesting?
Portsmouth. Standing in for the minister. Norwegian fleets coming in. Poodle faking, mostly. Well, there you are. Have a look at that.
Thank you.
We'll have another drink before we go out and change.
Thank you. Well.
What on earth did you do in the pavilion all afternoon?
We played put and take.
It was great fun.
You've been leading my family astray.
Well, they didn't take much leading. Lucky I hadn't had the old top with me. Hey, what about another whirl now?
Oh, yes, do, let's.
Arthur, do you approve of all this?
Well, we were only playing for matches.
Which was a shame, because I won 2 boxes of the wretched thing.
I think there's some counters in the schoolroom somewhere. I'll go and look for them.
Shall I help?
Yes, do, if you like.
Come on, we'll start with the matches to begin with. Those two may be ages finding the counters. What about you, Arthur? And Captain Palmer? You want another spin?
I think we've done enough desperate gambling for one day.
Right, then there's just the 3 of us. Here we are, we'll start with 10 matches each. The rest can be in the pot. Vicky, you begin. Extraordinary. What is it about the girl? She can't lose. Give it a spin, Phil. Game of pure chance. No skill required.
Yes, a very noisy fella.
I'm afraid my family's not the quietest in England. No, all except for Liz.
When will she be back?
Oh, sometime next week, I hope. I haven't seen her since early July.
This Welsh fella, what's his name?
Gwilym Meredith Jones. Do you know her, Bunny?
Yes, when I was in London earlier in the summer, I took Liz out to dinner and a theatre, and we had a bit of a heart-to-heart.
I don't often manage that with her.
Well, you're a father.
When you took her out, this must have been when she was engaged to Peter?
Yes, about a month before I saw the announcement in the Times. The wedding will not take place.
Oh, silly girl. She should never have got engaged. She was never really in love with you.
Well, she needed friendship and sympathy, and he was on hand. It's perfectly understandable.
Yeah, as I know. I just hope she doesn't get too much sympathy and understanding from this chap Gwilym.
Oh, Arthur, you do dislike him, don't you?
Oh, my feeling's got nothing to do with it. It's simply that he's totally unsuited to Liz. I mean, she's a conventional sort of person.
Is she? I wonder.
You take it from me. And he's a rebel.
Oh, Arthur, you know, you're surrounded with rebels, aren't you? What about that girl that you more or less adopted, Laura? Is she serious about going to Spain?
Well, she's at the moment. I doubt very much if anything will come of it. I mean, I can't see him giving visas and entry permits to an untrained girl of 19.
Oh, well, I'm not so sure. She strikes me as being a young lady who's perfectly capable of getting her own way.
Those counters don't seem to be here after all. We better go down again.
Laura,
Yes?
have you thought any more about it?
About what?
You know very well.
About going to Spain? Yes, of course I've thought. It's not just a mad craze, you know.
And?
And I still feel the same.
I just don't understand you. You've completely changed since you came back from Germany.
Have I? Well, perhaps not just as much as you think. Perhaps I needed that experience to show me that life is not all tennis and tea under the cedar tree. There are some things one has to be serious about.
Oh, you won't be so serious this afternoon. You're laughing and fooling around like everybody else in that pavilion.
But why not? Because one believes in something, it doesn't mean to say you've got to be solemn and boring all the time.
Doesn't mean you have to rush off and join somebody else's war, either.
Oh, but it does. Can't you see? No, you can't.
I can see that you're completely bewitched by this Manfred fella.
Aren't you being rather childish?
Me?
I don't deny I'm fond of Manfred. I'm fond of you, too. But this isn't a personal thing. This is the whole future of civilization.
Oh, the whole future of civilization is to be decided by Germany and Italy fighting Russia in Spain?
That's putting it rather simply, but all right, if you like. That's what it comes to. Now, we really must go down, or else they'll suspect the worst.
Yeah, I suppose so. I must get home and pick up Rosie for this farewell to the Pools party. Although it's no longer farewell.
Isn't it?
No, but Jack will explain later.
Good heavens, Freddie, a fair sort.
Car wouldn't start. Damn plugs, I reckon I'd leave it down at the pub and walk back. Oh, they're in a pretty pickle down there, too. Guttering's overflowed. I said to George last week, I said, you want to get that cleared?
Never mind guttering, you better get back to the lodge and get yourself dry.
No, we better go and check the stables and the outhouses.
Oh, what a terrible story. I've not heard anything like this since that night the brides came down on the cedar tree. Oh, I came down for a wee bit of company.
You did right, Nanny. Go on, sit down, love. I'll make you a cup of tea.
Oh, well, I'll get the cups.
Right.
I better be on my way.
Oh, you better have something warm inside you before you go out again.
Out again in this?
Oh, dear, that'll be Lady Bourne ringing. It's all right, Nanny, now don't you bother. You stay where you are and sit down. I'll run up and find out what she wants. And if they ring down for their coffee, well, they'll just have to wait for it, that's all.
The mayor's a bit upset, too. I'll have to go down and have a look at her in a minute.
You know, Fred, in my wireless it said there was a bit of flooding in Wales. I'm a wee bit worried about Liz now. Oh.
Dining room. Oh, Lord, that means they'll be wanting their coffee.
I wish I could play swing like that.
Practice, sweetie. That's all it takes. You don't do enough of that nowadays, my girl.
I know.
6 hours a day.
Well, before we settle down for the evening, I think Jack wants to address you with a few well-chosen words.
Well, I'm not so sure about well chosen, but there is something that you all ought to know. Phil and I are complete humbugs.
Oh.
Yes, we are. You've given us this splendid dinner tonight, but I'm afraid we're going to be back before you can say Jack Poole. Peter, you're the boss. You tell them.
Well, it's very simple, really. My father's decided, and I agree, that Jack's far more useful to Poole Aviation here in London. So he's going out there to get the Nice project started and then returning to the London office.
Ah. In fact, this is a dinner party of farewell and hail rather than hail and farewell.
Yes. Assuming we can always get our airplane off the ground in this weather.
Your poor goddaughter. On a dig. She must be up to her knees in mud.
Yeah.
We all warned her not to go. We said it wasn't her style.
But she's loving it, every minute of it. We got a postcard from her this morning, didn't we, Vicky?
Yes. Anyway, she's got Gwillem to keep her warm.
And in this weather, rather her than me.
Come on, Jack.
Right. Oh, all right. We're going continental. Might as well start tonight. Oh, you speak of your love while you dance.
Come on, Arthur. Shall we try it?
No, Rosie, I'd do anything for you, but I'm afraid the Continental's not my style. Perhaps Judith, would you?
Well, I'm afraid I'm not an expert, but how can I refuse you, Mrs. Carter?
Answer the call.
I'm not an expert.
Oh, good. Well, that's the Continental. An invitation to moonlight and romance.
Listen. I'm sure I heard something.
It must have been the wind, darling.
No, I'm sure it wasn't.
We sound like a knock at the door.
A knock at the door? I heard no knock at the door. Did you hear a knock at the door?
Not a single rat-a-tat-tat.
Well, we'll soon see. Willie, come in. What on earth are you doing here?
I've got to speak to Liz. Where is she?
Oh, don't be silly, man. Now, you can see she's not here.
I don't understand it.
We thought she was on holiday. I mean, on the dig with you, isn't she there?
No, she's not. That's what I'm trying to tell you, isn't it?
We were just talking about the dig.
Well, how do you do, Mrs. Cartland?
We were wondering if you're having this awful rain.
Much worse, actually. Look, Commander, I don't want to worry you, but Liz has been gone since early this morning.
Now, what do you mean, gone?
Gone from the camp.
Are you sure?
Of course I'm sure. Wouldn't be here if I wasn't, would I?
Where's she gone to?
I don't know.
Didn't she leave a note?
We looked for a note, there wasn't one.
A message? I mean, a verbal message?
No, I asked everyone in the camp. Then I looked for a car and found that was gone, too.
Oh, she'd obviously gone off in it.
Yes, obviously.
And you don't know where?
No.
He's already said that, darling.
I don't like it. You see, we had a bit of a tiff.
You and Liz?
Yes. Oh, it was nothing, really. At least I don't think so.
Yes, but she obviously did.
I don't know. All I know is she's disappeared and the roads are very bad.
Now, when you say disappeared, how long since she's been gone?
All day. We didn't realise till late this afternoon. We weren't in the tents today, see. A lot of them had gone into town to see a film, get a break from the rain light. I thought Liz was with the others when I found out she wasn't. I was frantic.
So you thought you'd come home to Larkfield?
I was sure she had. I tried to ring, but all the lines down there were washed out, so I borrowed a car and drove straight here.
Oh, she hasn't come home?
And she hasn't phoned?
No, she hasn't.
You
Well, no,
can't
wait a
get
minute. Let's just try and get some sense into this. You better come into the study.
Very well, Commander.
Phil, I'm sorry. Can you carry on? I mean, please don't let me interrupt the party.
Yes. Well, anyone like a drink?
Well, now. So that's Gwilym, is it?
You've heard about him?
Hardly. Liz did mention him to me once. He seems to be a bit of a fusspot.
A cigarette?
No. Oh, yes, thanks.
Well, you'd better tell me all about it from the beginning.
What more can I tell you? Liz is gone. Disappeared.
Well, hardly disappeared if you don't know where she went. Now, I want to ask you something else first, about this dig. Now, how did she ever get involved in the first place?
It was vacation. She was interested in archaeology.
Or was she? Never had been in her life before. Why do you think she developed this sudden craze for digging up the past?
Perhaps because I talked to her about it, fired her enthusiasm like.
Ah. Now, that's one of your specialities, Mr. Jones, is it? Firing the enthusiasm of gullible young people?
What are you getting at, Commander?
Well, it's not just archaeology, is it? And I gather, for example, that my daughter has signed the peace pledge.
And why not? 10 million others have signed.
And thus convincing the Axis powers that we're an effete nation and we shall never fight. And that makes war inevitable. Now, is that what you teach your archaeology students?
No, it's not. Of course we talk about the world situation, but it's a free discussion. Do you see me as some sort of Dr. Goebbels?
No, not quite, Mr. Jones.
Then what's all this questioning for, this third degree?
Because Elizabeth is my daughter. And you seem to forget it.
I never forget it. How can I? She never does.
I'm very glad. Then all this third degree, as you call it, is because I am trying to understand why she ever got involved with you in the first place.
We were friends.
Well, you were friends, you are no longer?
I didn't say that.
Well, then why did she bolt this morning? And that was very early in the morning, I think you said.
About 4 o'clock, I'd guess.
No, I asked you why.
Well, it couldn't have been much before. We were talking till around 3.
Now, is this you and Elizabeth, or the whole party?
Liz and I.
You're talking about the peace pledge, not I?
No.
No, of course not. We're having what you described earlier as a tiff. You and Liz alone in a tent in the pouring rain.
We were discussing something of importance to both of us.
You've made it very clear, Mr. Jones.
Look, you may not have noticed in this backwater of yours, but this is the 20th century. Liz is not a Victorian miss. She's an emancipated woman of 22.
And you're a very persuasive lecturer of what, 35?
Give or take a year.
But this time I take it your powers of persuasion were not successful?
You won't have to get out the horsewhip if that's what you had in mind.
Do you know, Mr. Jones, I think I begin to understand you. But you will never know or understand my daughter. Oh, she may have been carried away by your enthusiasm for pacifism. But at heart, she's a conventional girl. And the sooner you accept that, call it a day, the better.
That's for her to decide.
Be happier in the long run for both of you. Because whatever you may think, her outlook is entirely different from yours. Her upbringing, her background...
Go on, why don't you say it?
No, I wasn't going to say it, you know.
Oh, yes, I think you were. A different class, that's what you were going to say, isn't it? Well, perhaps you're right.
In that case, don't you think it's time you bowed to the inevitable and left her alone?
No, I do not think so. And just at the moment, I don't think we should be wasting time on this fruitless discussion. Whatever you may say, Liz is missing, and we should be doing something to try and find her, not talking about why it happened or whose fault it was.
I'm sorry to butt in, Arthur.
Yeah?
I just wanted to know if Gwilym was going to stay the night.
I can sleep in my car.
You'll do no such thing. There's a spare room next to Vicky's. You can have that.
Dirkenbach.
I'm sorry.
Thank you very much.
I don't suppose there's any need to worry, but I'm going to make some telephone calls.
Good.
Now, she may have gone to her friend in Brecon.
Oh, the mythical Jaunty.
Now, if you have a better idea, Mr. Jones, I'd be very glad to hear it.
I get no kick from champagne. Mere alcohol doesn't thrill me at all. tale, so tell me, why should it be true that I get a kick out of you? Sound like a Bob-type refrain. I'm sure that if I heard even one riff, that would bore me terrifically too. Yet I get a kick out of you.
I expect it'll turn out to be a storm in a teacup.
I expect so, Nanny.
Storm over Wales, anyway.
You'll see. She'll be in that farm, staying with her friend Jaunty.
Yes, it's not so far away from Coomber. And if the telephone lines are down, she couldn't have rung up.
Well, why should she? She wasn't expected here. And she wasn't to know that Gwilym would get into a panic.
And there you are. But what I want to know is, will Dr. Jones be staying the night?
Yes. Would you ask Mrs. Gates to help make up the bed in the spare room next to Vicky's?
Oh, she's away back to the lodge.
Oh, I forgot I let her off early.
Oh, it's all right, Nanny. Laura and I can make up the bed.
Oh, good girls. Well, I'll go and look out some sheets and pillowcases for you.
Oh, I don't want to be a bother to you.
Oh, it's no trouble, son.
Why don't you sit down, Gwilym?
Thank you.
You'll come up when you're ready, indeed.
Yes.
Well, Nanny has decided it's all a storm in a teacup. You haven't lost Liz, you've mislaid her.
How do you keep your clothes dry?
Clothes?
Yes, in camp. I have a special interest. Even in Spain, it rains in the winter, so how do you keep clothes dry?
We don't. At least we didn't this time. I've been on a lot of digs, but never one like this. Found a frog in my sleeping bag the other night.
Oh, sounds too utterly bizarre.
Do you hang them up?
What?
Your clothes?
We could, but we'd have a flat tent.
Why?
The weight of the clothes hanging would pull the pole down, see?
Thank you. That's a useful tip. So what do you do?
You make a sort of contraption beside the bed, with branches cut from trees, and you put the clothes on that, up off the ground, see?
Oh, I see. And that keeps them dry?
Usually it does, not this time, though. But the commander was going to make some phone calls. If he finds out there's been some sort of an
Now,
accident...
Gwilym, you mustn't think like this. Liz is an adult, not a baby. If she chooses to go off without telling anyone in this silly way, you can't be blamed. Whatever may have happened.
Absolutely true.
Well, Peter, I think perhaps we ought to go home.
Oh, right, getting a bit late. Goodbye,
Good
Laura.
night, Captain Palmer. Very nice to see you again.
Don't be too serious.
Oh, look,
No,
please don't
no,
break up
no,
the
no.
party because of me. Oh, dear. I always seem to be gate-crashing parties, don't I?
You do rather, but we don't mind.
No, this dinner was given under false pretenses anyway.
Oh?
It was supposed to be a farewell party for Jack and I, but now as it turns out we're only going to be away for a few weeks, you weren't breaking up anything.
Are you sure?
Quite sure.
If Arthur's on the telephone, we won't disturb him. I'm sure he'll understand.
Well, of course he will.
And please let us know as soon as Liz turns up again, won't you?
Oh, yes, you must. Now, promise me. Don't worry.
I'll try.
Good. Good night again, everyone.
Good night, Rosie.
Don't worry, she'll turn up.
Thanks.
Good night.
Good night, Peter.
Oh, goodness. Come on, have to run for the car, Rosie.
Oh, you'll get sick. Goodbye and drive carefully. Oh. Now then, Vicky, darling, if you're going to make that bed...
Righto, Aunt P.
Oh, and don't wake your grandmother.
No, I won't. If she's asleep. You coming, Laura?
Yes, of course. Now, Gwilym, have you had anything to eat?
No, but...
I'll see what I can rustle up. Cold chicken, salad, maybe?
Good idea. I'll come and help you.
Oh, you...
No, please, I don't want to be a nuisance.
You're not. Get yourself a drink. We won't be long.
I thought I'd bring this little
Well, the telephone line's not too good tonight. Having difficulty in getting through at all. But Liz is not in London. At least the medical school have no news of her. And she's not at her lodgings.
Her friend Jaunty?
I can't get through to Brecon.
I don't see what else you can do.
Oh, the police. I'll get in touch with the chief constable, ask him to start a search.
Yes, well, in all the rumpus, I'm afraid they forgot to introduce us. I'm Julian Palmer. Liz's godfather.
Of course, Captain Palmer. Liz has spoken of you. And I'm...
Yes, I know who you are. Oh, please, help yourself. You've heard what Mrs. Poole said.
Thank you.
I'm afraid this must be a bit of embarrassment to you.
I feel so daft. How can you lose somebody's daughter?
Well, very easily, I should imagine, if it's a girl like Liz. She's a girl of very independent character. Still, don't worry, she'll turn up somewhere. Don't be so worried.
I can't help it. I keep thinking something's happened. I think I should go back and look for her.
What, now?
Yes.
Well, go back where? To Quimbark?
Yes, she may have got stuck on the way, on the road somewhere. I mean, she might have come a different way from the way I went.
Well, how do you know she's coming back here in any case? You heard what her father said. She might have gone anywhere.
Oh, God.
Anyway, you can't go back now, tonight.
Well, of course I can. I got my friend's car in the drive, plenty of petrol. All I've got to do is just go.
You're not making sense, are you? Look, you're all in. Finish a drink, have a bite to eat, then go to bed, eh? For a good night's sleep, and then start looking for her first thing in the morning. First light, if you like. That is, if Commander Bourne hasn't traced her by then, and I'm sure he will have done.
He's not very pleased with me just now, the Commander.
Oh, well. He'll get over that.
You think so? He doesn't like me, the Commander.
Oh, I'm sure you're wrong.
He thinks I'm after his daughter.
Are you?
After tonight, I don't know.
Yeah. I think it may be partly my fault.
Your fault?
Yes, I'm her godfather.
Yes, but that doesn't mean...
Yes, I know, but all the same, I think perhaps... Oh, I don't know, perhaps I would have been a bit more responsible to her. Godfather does take a vow, you know.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Mind you, I always remember her birthdays, and I'm always on hand if she wants someone to talk to. Outside the family, that is.
Sounds to me like you've been an ideal godparent.
Well, since you mention it. Still... The main thing is the religion, isn't it? I mean, that's what godparent means.
I suppose so.
Young people need a faith these days to steady them. Especially in these rapidly changing times. Come on, have another drink.
Be under the table if I do. I've had nothing to eat since lunch.
Well, there's nothing wrong with being under the table. We can always pick you up again. Anyway, food will be coming in a minute. I hope. Yeah. Get this done, you. And, good luck.
Yakida.
Beg your pardon?
Cheers in Welsh.
Oh, Yakida.
You're doing great work there, darling. You don't want me to help you, do you?
Yes, I do. I want you to get a tray ready.
Tray? Oh, yes, a tray.
Over there.
Where? Right. One tray.
Now lay it.
How do you mean, lay it?
Put on it 2 knives, a fork, and a side plate. On the dresser.
Right.
2 knives. And salt and pepper.
Salt and pepper. Yes. I say, poor old William does look awfully miserable, doesn't he?
You'd look awfully miserable if you'd lost me in a raging storm and didn't know where I was. I suppose you would.
Of course I would. No.
Oh, Jack!
Sorry. 1 over the 8, I think.
There was no need to explain. Well, that should do him. What about the salad?
Oh, hang the salad.
Jack, pour us a drink, sit down, and I'll finish the tray.
All right. You? Me?
Salut.
Salut.
May I ask you something?
Of course.
Do you think Liz and I are too different?
Or too different to what?
Well, this house for a start.
Well, what about it?
Well, it's a palace compared to my mum's place. We just got the 4 rooms, 2 up, 2 down, and the privy's out in the garden.
How many of you in the family?
My mum, my dad, my sister Gwyneth, and me, that's all. I did have a baby brother, Gareth, but he died of diphtheria when he was only 4.
Really? How terribly sad.
Yes, it was. We all had it. It was a miracle only little Gareth died. Lovely boy he was. Then my father's a farmer. Well, a farm labourer, actually. Works for someone else. Doesn't have a place of his own. Though one day I hope to help him get it.
And where did you get your brains from?
Brains? Lucky in my school teacher, isn't it? There was a man with a mission, if ever I saw one. Determined he was to get me into university, and by Jove he did. I don't know why I'm telling you all this.
Because I asked you.
Well, rather boring, really.
It's not the least boring.
Well, that's the background I come from, and Liz comes from this.
Well, nothing particularly grand about this.
It is by my standards. And her father's a commander.
Retired.
And a Conservative MP, and on the bench.
And you're a doctor of philosophy, and a university lecturer.
Well, yes, but then again, you see, she's English.
Yes.
Well, I'm Welsh.
Well, what of it?
Different race, isn't it? Though actually, she's the one who has all the moods, not me.
What are you trying to say?
Damn it, Captain Palmer, you know what I'm trying to say.
Do I?
Different class, isn't it?
Ah. Well, if you must mention that word. Come on, have another drink.
I'll be drunk as a lord if I do.
Well, that'll put you one up on the Bournes, wouldn't it? Eh? Come on, might as well be hung for a sheep.
I had a great-great-great-uncle who was hung for a sheep. I mean, he stole it.
Really? Good heavens.
Yes. More precious than life itself, sheep were in Wales. The commander says that Liz isn't nearly so progressive as she pretends.
Did he? Well, that may well be true.
You agree with him?
Well, I think that Liz is a conventional rebel. Oh, there you are at last.
Never coming.
Yes, I wonder what happened to
Here
you.
you are, Gwilym. It's not much, I'm afraid, but it'll keep you going.
Oh, thank you very much.
Oh, what happened?
Well, you know I let Mrs. Gates off early because of the weather.
Yes?
Well, I'd forgotten that I'd said that she should leave the washing up, and I thought I should get some of it done anyway. I'm sorry we were so long.
No, it doesn't matter a bit. We had a very interesting conversation, didn't we?
Oh, yes. I keep thinking I should be doing something.
Such as?
I don't know, show willing, you know?
Well, I'm sure Arthur's doing everything he can.
Come on, old boy. Chin up and all that. I'll tell you a funny story, shall I?
God forbid.
Oh, sorry, I was only trying to help. Well, let's have another drink.
I'll tell you what, I'll go into office, see if there's anything to report. Even if it is only negative.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah? Thank you, darling. Another?
No, thanks. I've had more than enough already.
Oh. Well, here's to Llanfair PG.
What?
You know, that town in Wales with that ridiculous name that goes on and on and on. And on.
You mean Llanfair Gwyn Gich Gogoroch Werndraboch Llantysilio Gogogoch?
Great heavens.
Say that again.
Llanfair Gwyn Gich Gogoroch Werndraboch Llantysilio Gogogoch.
That's incredible.
It's even funnier when you see the name on the little station. Goes right along the platform, it does, from one end to the other.
Oh, I can imagine.
The local kids stand there waiting for the trains to come in, because there are always visitors on the train, see, and they give them pennies for saying the name.
It's all very well you're standing up for him, Junior. There's been nothing but trouble ever since he came on the scene.
Aren't you being a bit hard on him? Can't be all his fault.
And all I know is that Liz has been thoroughly unsettled by his left-wing politics and his pacifism. Unsettled enough as it was by her mother and Anne's death. And the last person she should have met at this moment was this William Moretti James. Huh? Men of Harlech? Time like this?
Well, I thought it was rather apt. Oh, well, I suppose I'd better go and tell the wretched young man.
Oh, tell him what?
The negative report. At least that you found out that she wasn't with her friend Jonty.
Julian, it's just occurred to me. If Liz doesn't know you're here, she might be making for Cornwall. Hello? Yes? Yes, this is Commander Bourne speaking. I'm sorry, the line's not very good. Oh, that's better. What? Where?
That's all done, Nanny.
Oh, you managed all right then.
Where would you like this?
Just there, dear.
You'll never see a better made bed, thanks to Laura.
Thanks to the red cloths in their glasses.
Good. Well, I'll away to my bed then. But, oh, please, ask the commander to let me know as soon as there's any news.
I thought you were the one person who wasn't worried.
That's before I heard the bit on the wireless.
What bit?
Oh, about the floods. They're saying now they're the worst for 50 years on the west coast and the Welsh border.
Oh, that's not so good.
A lot of the roads are impassable. And in some places in Wales, well, I can't remember their old outlandish names, but they say that people were having to be got out of their houses in boats. And
What, Nanny?
What is some of the people were actually drowned?
Oh, I'm sure nothing like that's happened to Liz. After all, she left the camp early this morning, and it couldn't have been so bad there. And then we don't know which way she was heading. She's probably miles away from the floods by now.
Yes, oh, we'll just have to hope for the best. But I don't think I could bear another.
Oh, Nanny, you know how sensible Liz is. You're always telling me.
You must try not to worry. I'm sure in the morning it'll all be quite different.
Yes, so, as I say, we'll just need to hope for the best. Well, I'm going to be to my bed now, but please, ask the commander to waken me if there's any news.
I will.
Well, I must say I've always had a very pleasant time in Wales. Even if they did shut the pubs all day Sundays.
We know a lot, the Welsh.
Back door was always open.
You are my darlings. Come and join the party.
If you don't mind, we'll have no more piano for the moment.
Sorry?
Vicky, I think you all ought to know that Mrs. Carr has been fired.
Her car?
The police have traced the registration number. It's been found abandoned in 3 feet of water.
And Liz?
There is no sign of Elizabeth. The police will get in touch with us if they find her.
Gumboots off, Fred. I don't want mud all over my kitchen floor.
All right. I was just going to.
Oh, look, what a mess in here. God heavens, I'd never said I'd go home and leave the washing up. They hadn't said they'd do it, never touched it. Hey, Fred, that drive. Them puddles were 2 feet deep in places.
And the front lawn's covered with water. Well, at least it stopped raining.
Well, that's something, I suppose.
Oh, morning.
Oh, morning, Miss Vicky.
Golly, you started clearing already, Mrs. Gage.
Well, I have to, Miss Vicky.
I'm sorry about this washing up.
I'd never have agreed to go home early if Aunt Phyllis hadn't said that she could manage all right.
You don't know what happened, do you?
Something happened, miss. What?
It's Liz. She's missing.
Missing? What do you mean, Miss Vicky?
From the camp, do you mean?
Yes, she left Cumbach in her car early yesterday morning.
Yesterday?
Well, and nobody's heard from her since?
Not a thing. I'm really sorry about this mess.
Oh, it's all right, miss. You leave those.
Dr. Meredith Jones and I had breakfast here early this morning before we left to Wales to look for Liz.
Quite right, miss.
Well, he thought she was coming back here, you see.
You mean she got lost on the way?
We don't know. All we do know is that the police rang Daddy late last night to say that the car had been found, but Liz wasn't in it.
Oh, no.
And there were floods all around the place where the car was.
Oh, Fred.
The car was in the middle of the road, completely underwater.
It's all right, I'll get it.
It's a pity the commander had to be away today of all days, miss. He did go, I suppose.
Well, he wanted to put it off, but he said it wasn't possible. He had to go, he said.
Well, Captain Palmer's here now. He'll take care of things.
Yes, I suppose so.
How did the commander get to the station this morning, miss? The car's still here.
Well, Gwilym drove him on his way back to Wales to look for Liz. Who was it on the telephone?
Nothing important. Only Phyllis ringing to see if there was any news of Liz, and also to say they'd be taking off this morning as planned.
Oh, how's Mr. Poole going to get that plane off the ground? That field's a sea of mud.
Well, they arranged that last night. Got hold of old Farmer Binns. He's going to bring his tractor and tow them over to the flying club at New End. They've got a proper hard runway there.
You fancy going up in that little aeroplane on a day like this, I don't know.
Phyllis said they'd be flying over the house about 10:30 if we wanted to wave to them.
Oh, that's a good idea, Miss Vicky. Why don't you wave goodbye to your aunt and uncle?
Who wants to watch a silly old plane at a time like this, with Liz missing and maybe even drowned?
Oh, come along now, miss. No news is good news.
Yes, Vicky, that's true. Why don't we go over to the stable together and walk to Lulu round for a bit, and then we can wait for the puss moth to go over. Take your mind off things.
Oh, all right.
We can go out by the back. Pick up some boots on the way.
Morning, Vicky.
Morning, Granny.
You're not dressed for church.
No, I'm not going.
May one ask why?
I don't feel like it.
Oh, morning, Vicky. For the second time. Morning, Lady Bourne.
Good morning, Julia.
It's 10:30, Vicky. Aren't you coming to see the big fly past?
No, thank you, Uncle Julian. Laura's waiting outside for them.
Ah. Well, I hope you don't mind if I go, Lady Bourne. I know it's a bit childish, but I'm just potty about small planes.
Men are all children at heart. Vicky, what is wrong?
Nothing.
I saw that handsome Welshman last night wandering about on the landing very late. He looked extremely miserable. He didn't see me, but I saw him.
Oh, yes. Well, he was passing, and he was so wet he thought he'd better stay the night and wait until the storm passed over.
I see.
I think I will go and see the plane after all.
Victoria! Come here, Victoria. I can see perfectly well that something is wrong. Why won't you tell me what it is?
I'm sorry, Granny. It's about Liz.
Fred! Fred, there they are, it's them!
All right, I can hear. I only hope they won't upset the mare.
Troublesome girl, Liz. I don't know what's come over her lately. She's so terribly moody.
Well, she always was, you know, Granny.
I know, but she seems to have got much worse lately.
I just hope she's all right.
Oh. That is your aunt's husband showing off in that ridiculous little aeroplane.
You know, I can't help admiring Phyllis. She's either terribly brave or terribly in love. Or both. That fella Poole nearly took the tops off those trees in the copse.
Billy said he wasn't fit to fly today. Oh, good morning, Lady Bourne.
Good morning, Laura. Are you coming to church this morning?
Well, I wasn't. I have... But that is, I ought to work at my Spanish today.
On a Sunday?
Oh, above all on Sunday. It is a crusade, you know, Lady Bourne.
What is?
Oh, Laura's going to Spain to be a nurse for General Franco.
Oh, that'll be nice for her. Ah, and it's nice to hear the bell ringers back. I didn't care for it when it was just a single bell for church.
Excuse me, my lady, but the car's all ready for you to go to church. I brought it around a bit early because the road's pretty well waterlogged.
I'm quite ready, Gates.
Just yourself, my lady?
Yes, apparently. In spite of this time of need.
Very good, my lady.
Lady Bourne, give my apologies to the rector, would you please?
Of course I will, Julian.
Someone has to be here in case we hear anything, Granny.
Quite.
I think Jack purposely just missed those trees, just for a laugh.
Yes, he's a hair-raising pilot at the best of times. I don't know how your Aunt Phyllis puts up with it, eh, Vicky? Vicky?
I can't bear it. Something's happened. I know it has.
Come on, Vicky.
It's just like Anne. It's going to be the same story all over again.
Oh, Vicky.
And Mummy, I can't bear it. I can't bear it.
Now, Vicky, sit down.
How could Daddy go away at a time like this?
Well, he's on the end of a telephone. Chief Constable knows where he is. As soon as there's any news, your father will be the first one to hear. Now, come on, Vicky, chin up.
She's dead, I tell you. I know she is. She's been drowned.
Vicky, the fact that her car's been found abandoned really
it's
doesn't...
proof, isn't it? It's proof.
Yes, quite the opposite. Don't you see? Oh, Liz wasn't in the car. She went into deep water, the engine stalled, you couldn't get it started again, so obviously she had to get out and go for help.
Well, if she's all right, why haven't we heard from her?
Maybe she was knocked unconscious.
Well, that's just like Anne. She was knocked unconscious when she fell at that point to point. That's how it all started. I tell you, it's happening all over again. It's like a nightmare.
Now, come on, Vicky, you've got to pull yourself together. Look, why should we have heard from Liz? She wasn't expected home for at least a week. How should she know that we're worrying about her? I hate to use a cliché, but in this case, no news is good news.
That's just what Gates said. I don't think he believed it. Nor do you.
Hello? Oh, hello, Arthur. No, nothing, I'm afraid. I'm sorry. Yes, of course. I'll let you know as soon as I hear. And you'll let us know if you hear first, Good. No, everything's fine here. And everybody. Yes, now don't worry. Oh, and good luck with the poodle faking. Yeah, bye. Vicky, wouldn't it be a good idea if you had something warm to drink and had a little rest before lunch, eh?
I'm not tired.
Oh, go on. Have an hour's sleep. You look absolutely exhausted. Weren't you up at the crack of dawn to get Willem his breakfast?
Yes, she was. Come on, Vicky, I think it's a good idea. I'll come up with you. We'll go and find Nanny.
I'm not a baby.
Of course you're not.
I'll let you know the minute I hear anything, I promise you.
All right, then. You will call me.
Promise is a promise. Nothing at all. I see. Yes, please do. Oh, what a good idea. Yes, I'll hold on.
Oh, Julian, you know, I've just come back from church, and it was so extraordinary. I wonder where Arthur keeps it.
Keeps what, Lady Bourne?
The Bible. Oh, I expect it's in the study.
Oh. Yes? Oh, thank you. Yes, I shall be in all day. Now, you know where to get in touch with Commander Bourne. Right, good. Thank you.
You know, it really seemed as though the rector had known about our troubles. I was telling Gates on the way home how extraordinary it was. Now, where is that text? I know it's in the New Testament. He who was lost shall be found, something like that.
Well, it sounds like one of the Gospels. I'm afraid I'm not a very great theologian.
It's Luke.
Here, let me help
Wait.
you, Lady Bourne.
Oh, thank you. Luke 15. I'm sure it was that.
Yes, let me see. 12, 15. Oh, yes. What man of you, having 100 sheep, if he lose one of them, doth not leave the 99 in the wilderness, and go after that which is lost, until he find it?
Until he find it.
Yes, very apposite.
I was thinking about that poor girl all through the service. Julian, you do think she's all right, don't you?
Of course, yes. The phone will ring in a minute, and we'll be told that she's been found, and there's a perfectly simple and ordinary explanation.
Excuse me, my lady. Captain Palmer, what time would you like lunch?
Oh, 1 o'clock as usual, please, Mrs. Gates.
Oh, thank you, my lady. And there'll just be the 4. I mean, the Welsh gentleman isn't coming back then.
Not as far as I know.
No, I don't think so. Oh, there may only be 3. Miss Vicky's gone to have a rest before lunch.
Oh, dear, I do hope she isn't poorly, sir.
No, just overwrought, the strain. Miss Laura and I have persuaded her to go and have a nap.
Very sensible, sir, if I may say so, too.
It might be an idea if you kept something for her when she does come down.
Oh, yes, of course. I'll put something nice aside for her, and then she can have it as soon as she wakes up.
I'll go up and see her. Oh, I won't wake her. If she's asleep, I'll just put the Bible beside her and mark the text. And then when she wakes, she'll find it there, and perhaps it'll comfort her.
I'm sure it will.
Come in, Mr. Parsons, do. Come in. Fred won't be long. He's just gone to put the car away.
Thank you, Mrs. Gates. If you're sure I'm not disturbing you.
Oh, of course. We're always glad of a visit from you. You know that. Sit down, won't you?
Thank you.
Do you fancy a glass of beer? I know Fred's got a couple of bottles in the pantry.
No, thank you, Mrs. Gates. I've just looked in on my way from the church to find out whether there was any news.
About Miss Liz? No, not that I know of, I'm afraid.
Ah.
Oh, Mr. Parsons is here, Fred.
Morning, Mr. Parsons.
Good morning, Mr. Gates.
Just called to see if there was any news about Miss Liz.
No, I'm afraid not. How about a beer?
Mrs. Gates has just offered me a glass, but I won't, thank you.
Mind you, I don't believe that any harm has come to her.
No, I'm sure you're right. If there'd been an accident of any kind, the police would have reported it by now.
Lady Bourne was saying in the car that everything's bound to be all right now, after the rector's text this morning.
Oh, yes. The man who had the 100 sheep, and one of them was lost. You know, it's always struck me as rather odd behaviour by the shepherd.
What's that, Mr. Parsons?
Well, I don't wish to appear blasphemous, but would a man really leave 99 sheep in the wilderness and go off looking for one stray?
It never struck me like that before.
Now, if it was you, Mr. Gates, would you risk losing your whole flock just for the sake of one animal?
No, now you come to mention it, I wouldn't. Except if it had been my only ram or my only ewe.
Yes. Well, if the man had a couple of dogs, he could have rounded his flock up and got them into a pen. Oh, yeah. Well, now, that would have been completely different. But to leave them in the wilderness, it's really most extraordinary. Oh, well, I must leave you to get on with your work, Mrs. Gates, and I must go back to duty.
Well, goodbye, Mr. Parsons, and thank you for looking in.
Not at all. And please tell your young ladies not to worry too much. Everything will come right in the end.
The blast.
William, what's that?
What's the news? There isn't any.
What, nothing?
I'm sorry, I'm very sorry, but I know no more than I did this morning.
Oh, gosh. But why? What happened?
Oh, absolute fiasco it was. When he got as far as the border, really bad, the floods. I've never seen anything like it.
Yes, so the wireless said.
Driving down in the dark last night, I couldn't see how bad, but I can see today a whole lot of cattle drowned.
Oh, no.
Yeah, poor things. And sheep marooned on little bits of high ground.
Well, surely people were trying to rescue them.
Ever tried to get a sheep into a rowing boat? No, they're all right for the moment, but they have to wait till the water's gone down a bit. Anyhow, there's people.
What do you mean, people?
Well, the people have to be rescued first, don't they? There's houses with water up to the first floor windows. I couldn't believe it. And the roads, a lot of them aren't there anymore. And fields covered by water like huge lakes.
And the people?
Well, they've been rescued by boats in the bad parts and taken to higher ground. The firemen, the police, all out they were. Some of the things I saw.
What about Liz?
Oh, I don't know, Vicky Carriad. I couldn't find anyone there who'd seen or heard anything about her. Nothing.
But why are you back so soon?
Because I got stuck, isn't it? Like a fool, I tried to drive through this bit of flooded road and a stupid car stopped.
That's just like Liz.
Oh, I'm sorry, I am really. I've messed the whole thing up. I'm so angry I could kick myself.
Oh, it's not your fault.
I should have listened to the other motorists. They'd never been able to get through, so why should I get through? Well, I didn't listen to them and I did get stuck. I had to leave the car where it was, cadge a lift back. Can I have a drink?
Oh, you could have some tea.
Oh, it's not tea I want, girl.
What about the camp? Did you ring them?
Why, yes, of course, several times. At least the farm nearby. They're having to pack up and go home because of the floods. No one there knows anything about that sister of yours. I'm beginning to think she's more trouble than she's worth.
Graham, how can you say a thing like that?
Oh, I'm sorry, Vicky. I don't mean it. Really, I don't. It's just I'm so frantic with worry, I don't know whether it's Aberystwyth or Christmas time. I feel so frustrated. I don't know what to do next. Any more from the police?
Well, Uncle Julian rang them several times, but nothing.
Where is the captain? I'd like to talk to him.
Well, he's over at the farm, seeing if everything's all right after the rain.
Right. I know the way.
Well, I don't think I can concentrate anymore. I think I'll go up and see how Nanny's doing. She's awfully upset.
And cross. Did you see the pile of ironing Lady Bourne's given her to do? I think Lady Bourne should have brought her own maid.
Oh, well, Nanny wouldn't have liked that either.
Oh,
hello,
Peter. Be down in a minute. Hello again.
Came over to see if there's any more news about Liz.
No, there's nothing. Sorry, Peter.
Also, I thought perhaps I could cheer you and Vicky up. Take you out for a drive in the car, see the floods.
Oh, I don't think so, thanks. Besides, we've got to sit by the telephone.
Oh, isn't Captain Palmer here?
He's gone over to the farm. Gwillim's back.
Gwillim?
Yes, his car got stuck in the floods.
Just like Liz.
That's what Vicky said. He had to leave it where it was and cadge a lift back.
Poor chap.
Oh, he's in a terrible state. Pacing about like a caged lion, furious with himself and frustrated about not being able to do anything. The Welsh side's really coming out in him now.
Do you think he's in love with Liz?
Well, I don't know.
Well, you're a woman. You should know about these things.
How?
Intuition, I suppose.
Well, I don't think my intuition's working very well today, but, yes, I think he is.
Do you find him attractive?
Gwillim?
Yes.
Yes, I suppose so.
He's, very dark, isn't he? Like your Spanish friend.
Yes.
When are you seeing him again?
Who?
Manfred.
Oh, soon. It depends when our visas come through.
If they do.
Yes.
Meanwhile, it's, Spanish for beginners?
That's right. And first aid classes.
And German? Are you learning that too?
Why should I?
Well, he's half German, your Nazi friend, isn't he?
As a matter of fact, he's not a Nazi. He's a Carlist, a royalist, if you like. He wants a king back on the throne of Spain.
A king who will be a Nazi puppet.
And what about the so-called government? They're nothing but Russian puppets. Is that any better?
The Spanish government was elected by the people. They have to get help where they can in crushing this rebellion.
Trouble with you, Peter, is you listen to too much propaganda. Would you like some tea?
Me? I'm not the victim of propaganda. What about
We're
you?
never going to agree, so what's the point of arguing?
I don't want to argue. I just want to make you see sense.
I've told you 100 times I have thought. Now, why can't you accept it and leave me alone?
Because I can't sit here and watch you making
Miss
a...
Laura, but did you ring?
Yes. Could we have some tea, please, Mrs. Gates?
Yes, miss. For how many?
3. No, better make it 5. I expect Captain Palmer and Dr. Meredith Jones will be back soon.
Very good, miss. Oh, good afternoon, sir.
Hello. Hello.
Oh, hello.
Oh, Gwillim, we're going to have some tea soon. Do stay and talk to Peter while I go up and tidy, will you? I'm sure he won't argue with you all the time.
That was a bit sharp, wasn't it? What's it all about?
Tried to warn her against going to Spain again. Should have known better and kept my mouth shut.
Girls. It's a pity, isn't it, she ever got mixed up with that Spanish-German character.
Oh, I think so, naturally.
Is he the reason she wants to go?
I can't make up my mind whether it's him or whether she really does believe in this so-called crusade against Bolshevism. Bit of both, probably, but I'm sorry, I shouldn't be talking about my problems at a time like this.
Oh, don't be daft, man. It helps, actually.
Do you mind if I say something?
No, why should I?
It's about Liz.
Yes?
You don't think... Look, I know Liz rather well. You don't think it's possible that she might be playing you up?
Play me up? What do you mean?
Well, her disappearing like this, she could have done it on purpose.
Good heavens, man, she wouldn't do a malicious thing like that.
No, I know. She wouldn't mean to upset people. It's just that, well, sometimes she can be a bit unpredictable. You know what I mean? I hope you don't mind me saying this.
No, I don't mind. But I don't think she'd do anything so callous.
Oh, I'm frightfully sorry, Mrs. Gates.
It's all right, sir. No harm done.
Ah, tea. I timed that nicely, didn't I?
Well, yes, you did, Captain. There we are. Will you ring if you want any more hot water?
Yes, we will.
Well, where are those girls? They ought to be here to pull for us. Vicky, Laura! If you'll excuse me, Captain Palmer, I won't stay for tea. I think Rosie's expecting me at home. All right. But please let me know as soon as you hear any news about Liz. Yes, of course. Goodbye. Bye. Well, that was a bit sudden, wasn't it?
I think he and Laura had a bit of a scrap.
Oh, that's what it is it? Thank heavens I'm not young anymore. I don't know what's the matter with you young people these days, always having scraps. Sorry, that was rather a tactless thing to say in the circumstances.
Oh, that's all right, sir.
Oh. Well, come on, let's have some tea. Cheer us up. Cake? Oh. Rosie? 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 Parsons? Parsons?
Yes, sir?
Would you come in here, please?
Coming, sir.
Ah, Parsons. Where's Mrs. Cartland?
Mrs. Cartland has gone out, Mr. Peter.
Gone out? Oh, did she leave a message?
I'm afraid not. But she did receive a telephone call shortly before she left.
Oh, what time?
Just after 4 o'clock. It was a trunk call.
Oh, really? How'd you know that?
I took it.
Who was it?
Well, it sounded like a lady's voice, but the line was extremely bad. The flooding, I suppose. Madam was on the telephone for quite some time, and then she rang for me, and she said she had to go out rather urgently. She asked me to ring for Brown to bring the rolls round to the front door.
I see. Very mysterious. Thank you, Parsons.
Thank you, Mr. Peter.
Telephone, but the line was engaged.
Oh, we've been engaged off and on all day.
Yes, so I came straight back here in the car and thought I'd read it to you in person.
Very good of you.
I can hardly believe it. Liz is safe.
It's marvellous, isn't it, Gwilym?
Well, I was absolutely convinced she'd been drowned. Read it again, Peter.
Right. Dear Peter, sorry, no time to wait for you to come back. Wonderful news, Liz is safe and well. Tried to ring Larkfield, but the line was busy. So please tell them that she is all right and tell them not to worry. But this is the interesting part of it. I've gone to get her. Well, why not one of us?
I wondered that.
She's just over the border. Can't spell it, but it's not far. So she'll be back late tonight, floods permitting. Love, Rosie. Oh, P.S. We'll ring as soon as I get to Liz.
Just over the border, that could be anywhere, couldn't it?
Oh, nearest to Hereford, I should imagine. Well, I better phone your father, put him out of his misery. What do I do with the number? Oh, he's in the study.
This is driving me mad. Are you sure your stepmother said that Liz was all right?
Well, absolutely, Seven. Here, look, read it yourself.
She's all right, safe and well, and no one's to worry. Well, why should we worry now that we know she's safe?
I can't see what's bothering you.
I've just got a funny feeling, that's all. Probably nothing. Take no notice. Just me being daft.
Here. So stop worrying. Liz is found. She's safe. She's all right. Rosie says so.
Yes, but it's the way she says so.
Enough. Oh, I could dance a jig.
Hadn't you better go and tell the old girls instead?
The old girls? Really, Peter?
Lady Bourne and Nanny, then.
Gosh, yes, I was forgetting them. Poor things. I'll go up and tell them now.
I'll go and tell the Gateses, shall I? They're just as worried as we are.
Oh, yes, good idea.
Come in.
Granny, wonderful news. Liz is found.
Oh, my darling, you're strangling me.
Marvellous.
It is wonderful news. Not that I ever doubted Liz would be found. Not after that text we had in church this morning.
Well, you had more faith than me. I was convinced the worst had happened. Gosh, I'm exhausted.
So is Nanny, apparently. She's having a nap on her bed.
Isn't she well?
Well, I'm not quite sure. She was helping me sort my winter clothes and ironing them for me, and I thought she seemed the least bit irritable. I think she needs a tonic.
I'll go and give her a tonic. The news about Liz should buck her up no end. Excuse me, Granny.
Yes, my darling.
Oh, Fred, for goodness sake. Look, why don't you come and sit down here and grate this cheese for me? There we are. Make yourself useful, just for a change. Oh.
Hello, excuse me.
Oh, it's the doctor. Oh, it's marvellous news, sir, isn't it, about Miss Liz?
Isn't it? I hope you don't mind, but I couldn't stay in the hall any longer, just waiting, doing nothing, driving me mad it was.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
So I thought I'd come here and see if Mr. Gates needed a hand with the stables. They'd been flooded, see?
Oh, wow, that's very kind of you, Mr. Gwilym.
Doctor.
Pardon?
He's Dr. Meredith Jones.
Oh, yes, of course. Well, I'm sorry, sir.
Why don't you call me Gwilym?
Oh, no, sir.
Oh, no, we couldn't do that, sir.
No, and there's not really anything more needs doing outside, sir. I swept out the worst.
Are you sure? Isn't there anything I could do?
I don't think so, thank you, sir.
Would you like a cup of tea, Doctor?
Oh, thank you. That's very kind of you.
Right. Some in the pot. It's only been made about 5 minutes. There we are. And what's going to happen to your camp now, sir?
Well, they'll have to pack up and go home. After last night, the whole enterprise became quite hopeless.
Oh, dear.
Yes, as soon as I've seen Liz with my own eyes and know she's all right, I'll have to dash back and sort everyone out.
Surely they're not still under campers, not after last night.
No. The farmer on whose land we were camping has let them sleep in his barn on the straw.
Oh, that was kind of him, wasn't it? There, will you help yourself to milk and sugar, sir?
Ah, yes, thank you. It was fun, they said. Apart from the worry about Liz being missing. First night they'd been properly warned, they said.
Hey, poor young things.
It's a mercy that your tents weren't washed away.
Yes, it was. The wind, as well as that terrible rain, must have been awful for them. Even though the tents were pitched halfway up a hill.
What about the remains?
Remains?
Yes, you know, your Saxon fort.
Oh, well, luckily, no one wants to plough up the field it's in. The squire who owns the land says he'll leave it for us till we can come back. Don't know when that'll be, though. Not this year, certainly.
Hey, funny old life, isn't it?
What?
Well, digging up the past.
I think it's very interesting, Eileen. I like to think of what went before. You always been interested in history, Doctor?
Ever since I can remember. Used to imagine what the country was like all those hundreds of years ago when there were no horrid, ugly towns. Oh, way back, when the land was covered with dense forest and there were knights in shining armour and beautiful ladies in long dresses with fur round the hem and tall hats like witches' hats with veils.
Hey, it must have been very romantic living in those days.
Not as romantic as it sounds. Life was hard and rough, and every so often there'd be terrible plagues like the Black Death.
Oh, you wouldn't have liked that then, Eileen. Not with all those terrible diseases and no cures. Oh.
Suppose you're right.
Or is it only 5:30? Oh, chew.
Look, why don't you go for a walk round the garden and the meadow? I reckon a bit of fresh air will make you feel better.
Even if it is still raining.
Oh, no, is it?
Oh, it's only a light drizzle, sir.
I hope it doesn't delay Mrs. Cartland and Liz.
Ah, now you're worrying again.
Yes, so I am. That's a good idea of yours, Mrs. Gates. I will go for a walk. Thank you for putting up with me.
It's a pleasure, sir.
And thanks for the tea.
Yeah, well, if you go out the back way, sir, you'll find an old raincoat and some gumboots out there in the passage.
Thank you, Mr. Gates. Thank you both very much.
Oh, and if you need the car, sir, just you let me know. The commander won't mind, I'm sure. Just you let me know, sir, and I'll get it out for you.
You're very kind.
Nice young lad.
He's in love.
You reckon?
No doubt of it.
It's me, isn't it? One heart.
Oh, bother. I was hoping you wouldn't say that. 2 clubs.
Oh, gosh, can I have a minute? 2 diamonds.
Oh, you rotten thing. Hey.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Well, I don't know. I'll go 3 clubs.
3 no trumps.
Oh, you beast, Uncle Julian. Shall we double them, Gwillem?
Vicky. Table talk, no chatting to your partner. Bad form.
Boo to bad form. I double.
As clever you are, girl. Go down together, shall we?
Oh, that'll be Rosie. Hello, Mrs. Cartland? Oh, Daddy, it's you. Oh, sorry, I thought it was Rosie ringing to say she was with Liz at last. No, she hasn't. Well, I don't know. Yes, it is a bit worrying. Of course, as soon as we hear. Bye, Daddy.
Well, shall we pick up where we left off?
If you don't mind, Captain Palmer, I'd rather not play anymore. A bit difficult to keep my mind on the game, see.
That's all right, old chap.
I can't remember where we got to anyway, except we were winning, weren't we?
Yes, we were. But never mind, we'll give them their revenge some other time, eh?
What if I ought to go up and see Granny? She's all right.
Well, she was in very good form at dinner. Heart and soul, I thought.
Well, she's probably going to bed. I think we should wait till we hear from Mrs. Cartland.
Yes, I suppose so. Gosh, this waiting is getting me down. What can she be doing, for heaven's sake? She said it wasn't far.
Maybe she's got stuck, like you did, Gwillem.
There's a cheering thought now, isn't it?
What a ray of sunshine you are, Laura. Sorry.
Hello? Yes? Yes? Yes, right, I'll hold on.
Is it her?
I don't know, it's a trunk call. What? Oh, I see. Yes, all right, thank you. Well, whoever it was has been disconnected somewhere along the line.
Oh, no, that's too much.
If it was Mrs. Carton, she's bound to ring again later on. Nothing we can do about it, I'm afraid, except perhaps carry on with the rubber? No. Well, what about a drink?
Nanny's wireless says further rain is expected.
Seems it's got to get worse before it gets better. Let's hope no one else gets drowned. Oh, Lord, I wish I hadn't said that.
You know, I don't know why it is, but this country's never ready for bad weather, ever. It's always a surprise, you know, even if there's heavy rain, heavy snow, high winds, the whole country grinds to a halt. Hey, do you know what an Australian said to me once? He said, you know what you want to do with the old country? And I said, no. He said, you ought to pull the plug out and let it sink.
I know, ridiculous, isn't it? We never seem to learn.
Hello? Yeah. Mrs. Cartland at last. We were getting a bit worried. Yeah. Good. Yeah. How's Liz? Well, what's happening now? Yes. Where are you?
It's a farm called Plas Thomas. Very kind people, like if they had a telephone. Seems to be pretty rare away out in the wilds. What? Yes, she does seem a bit exhausted. I think she's had a bad time of it one way or another. Look, I won't say any more now. Liz sends her love. I'm going to take her back to Layford. Yes, Layford. I'll explain later. No, really, it's perfectly all right. I'll ring as soon as I get home. Must go now.
As soon as you get back. Right.
Captain Palmer, please let me speak.
We'll be quick then.
Mrs. Cartland? Damn, she's gone.
Oh, well, never mind. She'll ring back later on.
Goodness, that's over. Now we can all breathe again.
Incidentally, she's taking Liz to Layford.
Layford?
Yes.
Why, for heaven's sake?
I don't know.
Didn't she say?
Well, she said she'd explain later. Yes, it is a bit mysterious, isn't it?
I think it's a bit rotten. I don't understand any of it, all this secrecy. It's getting me down, I don't mind telling you. If Liz is all right, then why couldn't she answer the phone just now for herself? That's what I'd like to know.
It seems rather peculiar to me, too, I must say. Gwillim's right.
Oh, come on now. You're letting your imagination run wild with you. Liz is on her way back. Now, isn't that enough?
Yes, it is. I'll go up and tell Granny, if she's awake.
Carrying the good news from Ghent to Aix, eh?
Looks rather like that. Boot, saddle, to horse and away.
What was the good news, anyway?
I haven't the foggiest.
Gwilym?
Sorry, what did you say?
The good news I had to take from Ghent to Aix.
What was it?
How should I know?
Well, I know you weren't there, old man, but I thought perhaps you being a professor...
I am not a professor. It's become some sort of a bad joke to call me a professor, and I don't like it.
I'm terribly sorry.
I hold the degree of doctor and the appointment of lecturer. Is that clear, Captain?
Abundantly. And I won't forget it. Well, seems as if we're never going to find out what the news was. I only hope it didn't have the same effect on the citizens of Aix as our good news has had on the doctor here.
Sorry if I was rude, it's just... Well, of course it's good news, but... Well, you know what I mean.
Yes, yes, I know what you mean. Here.
So we can all stop worrying. Isn't that marvellous?
Yes, but why go to Layford?
I can't imagine.
If she prefers the nouveau riche atmosphere of Layford to her own home, why on earth didn't she marry Peter, instead of leading him up the garden path and then jilting him just as she got to the altar?
Oh, really, Granny? You make her sound like a horse who's refused a gate.
Well, it's all very well to laugh, but I consider that Elizabeth treats her young men very badly indeed. Look at that poor Welshman, half out of his mind with worry.
Did you never treat young men badly, Granny?
No. Well, only once. That was before I met your grandfather. That's ancient history.
Oh, well, I better go and tell Nanny. Put her out of her misery. Night-night,
Night,
Granny.
sweetie.
What a day it's been.
Oh.
It's past 11, nearly 2 hours.
Yes, we ought to have heard by now.
Do stop pacing around like that, Gwilym. It's getting on my nerves.
Laura, please.
It's raining a bit, I think.
Hello? Oh, Mrs. Cartland. Yes, we were beginning to be a bit worried. Yeah. Oh, good. Hold on a minute, will you please? They reached Layford about 15 minutes ago. Yes? Yeah. How's Liz? Oh, good. Yes, he's here.
What is it?
Yes, I understand.
Captain
Yes,
Palmer, please let me speak. Mrs. Cartland, it's me. I'd like to speak to Liz. Is she indeed? Right, I'm coming over now. Yes, now. No, I'm very sorry. I can't wait until tomorrow. It's time that young lady told me what the hell's going on.
You're not going over there now.
That's just what I'm going to do.
Well, it's a bit late to go visiting, isn't it?
I don't care what the time is. I want to see my girl, don't I? See her with my own eyes, know for certain she's all right and safe and well and all in one piece. I'm fed up with all this mystery and her refusing to talk on the telephone and getting herself taken to Layford instead of coming to her own home. I'm sick of all these secrets.
Gwilym, how are you going to get there?
I'll walk.
But it's 2 miles and it's raining.
Who cares?
Yes, well, I suppose we could ring Gates to the lodge and get him to intercept him and drive him over.
That'd be a bit hard on Gates, wouldn't it? I mean, they've both had a long day, and it is Sunday.
Yes, you're quite right, Laura. If our friend the doctor wants to play the wild Welshman, he must take the rough with the smooth. Now, I suggest bed. It's not only the Gates that have had a long day.
Come along in, Gwilym.
Where is she? Where is Elizabeth?
She's upstairs.
Good.
Gwilym,
Which room?
Just a moment, please. I must speak to you before you see Liz.
Mrs. Cartland, why are you trying to stop me from seeing her? Has she had a terrible accident? Why did you bring her here instead of to her own home?
She has not had an accident. I am not preventing you from seeing her, and she is perfectly all right.
Then why all the mystery?
There is no mystery. I just want to warn you that No. No, that's wrong. Not warn you. No, I just want you to try and understand her.
I think I understand Liz very well.
Oh, yes? Do sit down. Please. I'll be as brief as I can.
Very well.
That's better. Now, I know you probably think that this is none of my business, but it was to me that Liz came when she was in trouble.
Trouble? What trouble?
I think I ought to tell you that I know why Liz ran away from the camp and from you.
Did she tell you?
No, not in so many words. She said that you'd had an argument. It wasn't very difficult to guess what sort of argument it was, alone together in a tent at that time of the morning.
So I'm the villain of the piece, am I? Because I don't happen to kowtow to the moral standards of the Victorian era. Not that they apply to the upper classes in any case.
No, I'm not blaming you.
Thank you very much.
I know that you care for Liz, and that's why I'm talking to you now. She said that she had to get away from you to think. Now, her plan was to find a hotel and be by herself for a couple of days.
But why didn't she let me know? Let her family know so we needn't have gone through this terrible anguish thinking she'd been drowned.
She nearly was.
What?
She drove off from the camp in the early hours of the morning. It was still raining very heavily. It was dark. She was in a state about you.
You keep saying that. Are you still trying to make me feel guilty?
No, I'm simply stating facts, Gwilym. She drove for about an hour. Much too far, she said. It's a wonder she didn't have an accident. It was still raining very heavily. It was dark. And she began to notice how bad the flooding was. Then the road started to go down into the valley. There were woods on either side. It was very dark under the trees. Then her car hit a patch of water at the bottom of the hill and stalled.
Yes?
Well, she got out. Well, she was nearly up to her waist in water. She found her torch, started to walk back up the hill, and it was then that she heard cries for help.
And then?
Yes, well, she seems rather reluctant to talk about it. I didn't press it. She seemed too upset. Almost in a state of shock. But the couple at the farm that was looking after her said that she was involved in some sort of rescue operation concerning a rather badly injured woman.
Good God, what happened?
Well, they told me that Liz had been very brave. I don't really know all the details. I just wanted to bring her home as quickly as possible.
Of course you did.
But apparently Liz and her patient weren't rescued until sometime Saturday night. Liz had been there all day with that woman. The woman was then taken to the hospital. Liz was taken to the farm, and she rang me from there.
I see.
I would not have brought her here, Gwilym, if she hadn't asked me to.
But why? Larkfield's her home.
I know. She didn't seem to want to see her family. She was crying and hysterical on the telephone.
This is never hysterical.
Well, exactly. She was very unlike herself. And that's why when she asked me to go and fetch her, of course, I said yes. She didn't even want me to tell them at Larkfield, but naturally I said, I must say that you're safe. But I promised her I'd say no more.
I wonder what happened.
I don't know. It'll probably come out in the end. But I don't mind admitting to you that I'm very worried about her.
Do you think I'm not?
I think I know what's wrong. I think it's to do with her mother's death.
But that was over a year ago.
Yes, I know. But Liz is a very tightly controlled girl. Sometimes too controlled. Her mother and sister's deaths affected her very deeply. But being the eldest daughter, she didn't want to show it. So she gave up her career to come home and look after her father. Just at a time when I think it would have been much better for her to lose herself in her own work.
Yes, I agree with you there.
She came home to see her father through the time of grief, and I think she succeeded. But at a cost to herself. And I think she's now suffering for it.
Sort of delayed shock.
Exactly. Combination of events. Giving up her career, her engagement to Peter. And, I'm sorry to say so, but you, Gwilym.
I thought she cared about me.
I'm sure she does. But that does not mean to say that she's prepared to... You know what I'm talking about.
Of course, but for heaven's sake, this is 1937, not 1887.
Victorian morality wasn't as rigid as you seem to imagine. Once a girl was married, she could get away with almost anything as long as she was discreet. But before she was married, and I think that still applies to a girl that's been brought up like Liz. However, that's between you and her. I just wanted to tell you that what with everything else that has happened, plus the argument that you had, then the floods, I think the poor girl has been brought down to a state of breakdown.
I'm afraid you may be right. Poor girl. I'm a stupid, insensitive oaf.
No, you're not. You mustn't be too hard on yourself. It's just that I know Liz better than you do.
I suppose grief does go on a long time. To lose a mother and a sister. I lost a little brother once, but I was only a kid then, and the young are callous. She never talks about it, see?
I know. And that always makes it worse.
What do you want me to do, Mrs. Cartland?
I want you to be very gentle and understanding. Don't put any pressures on her, of any kind.
I understand.
I think we must all be gentle. Help her to get over what is obviously a very bad patch of depression.
Yes, I agree.
But I also think we must try and treat it lightly. I mean, she has had bad experiences in the floods, but if she's going to be a doctor, she's going to have to be able to cope with these emergencies.
Absolutely.
But I think you should try and forget the argument for the moment. Do you agree?
Yes, I do.
And what are you waiting for?
Sorry?
Liz is waiting to see you. She won't go to sleep until she does. Come on, I'll show you.
In the schoolroom. Do you want to come down to the kitchen garden?
What for?
To pick some raspberries. We're going to have raspberries and ice cream tonight to welcome Daddy back.
Oh, you go. I'm trying to find Burgos on this thing.
What's Burgos?
Town in northern Spain. General Franco's headquarters. Manfred says it's where we'll be getting our supplies and things for the field hospital.
Do you think you really will?
What do you mean, think? Of course we will.
Oh, I thought Manfred said you'd only be able to go as long as you get your visas or something.
Well, that's quite true, Vicky. But there won't be any hitches. Manfred's family are very influential in Spain. They'll fix it.
Oh, I see. Well, if you really want to know where that place is, there's a map of Spain in the Times today. It's got arrows pointing to where the fighting's going on in the north.
Why didn't you say so?
Oh, I am saying so now. I've just remembered.
Well, where is the Times?
In the hall on the piano.
Come on, I'll show you where they're going. There it is.
Good morning, Mrs. Gates.
Oh, Miss Vicky. Now, I wonder if you could tell me whether Miss Liz is expected back today. Only Nanny didn't seem sure, and I'll have to know, you see, because of the meals.
Well, I think Mrs. Cartland's going to drive her over sometime during the day. I'm not sure when. Perhaps I should ring up and ask.
Oh, I wish you would, miss. Only Gates has had a wire from the commander, you see, to meet him off the train in time for dinner this evening, so, well, I'll have to know how many there'll be.
Yes, of course. Well, I'll give her a ring and find out what's happening.
Oh, very good. Thank you very much, Miss Vic.
Here it is, Burgos. Look.
Yes, I know.
And Bilbao, that's ours now. And there's Santander, that's fallen to us too last week.
To us?
The nationalists.
If we're going to go and pick raspberries, we really ought to make a start. You know how long it takes to get enough for the kitchen.
OK, if we must. Lead the way.
Oh, aren't those lovely?
Will these be enough?
Oh, yes, plenty, thank you, Miss Vicky.
Oh, and Laura, she helped too.
Oh, yes, of course, Miss Laura too, thank you.
Well, I didn't pick many, much too lazy.
Well, they are beauties.
I think these autumn raspberries are even better than the summer. Oh. What did Kate say they were called?
Belle de Fontenay. Oh, they're lovely this year. Kate says it's because you had the dry summer last year. Come on, Nanny, you have some while there's still some left.
Don't spoil my Oh, what lovely juicy raspberries, I must say. Annie, what about you? Will you not have some?
Oh, yes, Mrs. Gates, you must have some too.
No, thank you. No, there won't be any left for tonight. It's dessert if I do.
We had several on the way back from the kitchen garden.
Speak for yourself. Come on, one more each, and then stop.
Right. That one.
Too many of these will bring you girls out in spots. Don't say I didn't warn you.
Oh, what rubbish. I bet that's just a big lie made up by nannies to stop children eating all the fruit.
Yes, in case there won't be enough for the grown-ups' dinner parties.
Right.
Oh, I'll go.
So, when are you leaving us to go off to your war in Spain, young lady?
Oh, it depends when they get the permit through. Should be any day now.
I don't like the idea. Wars are for men to fight in, not we girls.
Well, not exactly we. And I'll be nursing Nanny, not fighting.
Well, I think you're very plucky, Miss Laura. I do, really. I mean, going out there with all that bombing and shelling and people getting wounded. Oh, I wouldn't like to do that. But then, I'd never make a nurse. I can't stand sight of blood.
I know it's not our war, but it's very important for England, you see, to help keep all the European countries from going Bolshevik. Communists don't believe in God. Hey. They shoot priests and torture nuns.
Oh, never.
They do, honestly. Manfred told me.
But you're going out there to help nurse the sick and the wounded, aren't you? I mean, that's what you're going out for. To help fight against human suffering.
That's right, especially nationalist suffering. Manfred's people, the ones trying to save their country from communism. The good people. Better go and find Vicky.
Well, she's not the same wee Laura that came here last summer, and that's a fact.
Oh, a lot can happen to a girl in a year, Nanny. She's growing up. Knows her own mind.
Aye. But the Bourne girls know their own minds too. But they've not lost their sweet natures.
Peter will. And he can dine with us. Lovely. Yes, that's very kind of him. Yes, Laura is here. Yes, well, I'll tell Daddy you'd rather not. Yes. Yes, I'm sure he'll understand. Right. Righto. Bye. Rosie Cartland.
So I gathered.
She wants to keep Liz a bit longer over at Layford to let her sleep and rest.
Good idea.
Peter's going to bring her over before dinner and then stay on.
I gathered that too.
I wonder if Willem's still over at Layford or whether he's gone back to Wales.
Why didn't you ask?
Oh, I didn't like to.
Depends on whether he and Liz have made up their quarrel, I should think.
I wonder what it was all about.
Well, you know, don't you? We both do.
Oh, we were only guessing.
And guessing right. Well, what else would they be arguing about alone in a tent at 3 o'clock in the morning?
Yes, I suppose so. Oh, well, it's none of our business, is it? Not really.
Certainly not mine. I'm not her sister, you are.
Laura, well, what do you think of Gwillem? I mean, tell me honestly.
Gwillem? Well, from the little I've seen of him, I'd say he was pretty attractive in a sort of rugged, animal way. A bit like Clark Gable. Only smaller and Welsh, of course, which is different. And he's definitely got bedroom eyes.
Oh, I think he's terribly nice. And very funny. He makes me laugh.
Yes, but he's not the sort of young man one marries.
Well, Liz isn't a one. She's not like that. She's an ordinary person.
Well, I wouldn't marry him.
Because he's not a Marchesa de Santana Espana Olé, or whatever
Hey.
Mia señorita, how I love you. I will for you a bull.
Shut up!
me! Just wait till I catch you,
To insult my friend. Children, will you behave yourself? Now, shut up. You're rampaging in my schoolroom. Stop it now. Calm down like good girls. Come.
She's being rude about Manfred, and she's not going to get away with it. Absolutely not.
Oh, yes, I am, because you got run out of me without getting out of breath because you've been to too many nasty nightclubs, smoking too many of those nasty Spanish cigarettes made of cow dung, and you're out of breath.
Gosh, you're going to pay for that remark. Just wait till I catch you.
Maybe that's how I can see.
No fear.
And what's more, Klaus says Manfred looks like a waiter.
He's nothing of the kind. Just because he's rather dark and sallow and half Spanish, he is a grandee and he's very attractive.
He's oily.
He's not.
He's a greasy day.
He isn't.
There's a letter come for you, Miss Laura.
Oh, thank you. Shall I read what he says?
Manfred?
Yes.
Oh, if you like, if it's not too private.
Dear Laura, all the papers are now in order, and Michael Barrow and his sister have got permission from their parents to go. So with you, our party is complete. We sail from Tilbury Docks next Friday to Santander. After that, we shall go where we are directed, probably along the coast to the west, the Asturian front. Ring me up as soon as you return to London. My love, Manfred. I'm going, Vicky. I'm going to Spain. I'm going.
Why isn't she here?
Because Mrs. Carton wanted her to sleep in and rest after...
After what?
Well, after getting lost in the floods and everything, and the long journey back.
Well, why couldn't she come back here to rest in her own home where she belonged?
Well, you weren't here, Daddy, and I think Liz wanted to be with Mrs. Cartland, who understands her.
I don't understand her, I suppose. I do happen to be her father.
Yes, Daddy, I know, but you were in Portsmouth, where you had to be, and I think Liz looks on Mrs. Cartland as a kind of mother.
Yes. Yes, I know she does. I should never have agreed to her going traipsing off into the blue in the first place. Should have known it would end in tears.
Well, I think Willem's awfully nice. It was just that he and Liz had a silly old quarrel.
Yes, we know all about that.
Anyway, Mrs. Cartland rang up. Peter's going to bring Liz over before dinner, and I've asked him to stay, because he's got some news about Jack and Phyllis. I thought you might like to hear it.
I see. Well, is anybody else coming?
No, just Peter. And Liz, of course. Sort of family, really. Do you mind?
Well, where's the Welshman?
Oh, Daddy, I do wish you wouldn't keep calling him the Welshman or the Welsh creature. He's got a name.
All right. Well, where's Dr. Gwyneth Meredith Jones?
I don't know. Oh, Daddy, you're not cross with me, are you? Please don't be.
No. Just so long as you haven't invited half the county to dinner.
Of course not, I told you.
You're quite sure you haven't invited Mr. and Mrs. Adrian Hedges?
No, Daddy, not Mr. and Mrs. Hedges. Oh, I tried them, but they couldn't come. They're going to Sandringham for the weekend.
Oh, what a relief.
Oh, I knew you'd be tired after Portsmouth, but I did think we ought to ask Peter, because he's bringing Liz over, and Laura's here.
Yes, that's quite right. We have a nice family reunion. Now, would you just be quiet for a moment while I read one of my letters?
Sorry, Daddy, there's just one more thing.
Yeah?
While you were away, did you have any further news about the von Heinigs? Anything more from Klaus?
No, dear. No, I know nothing beyond Klaus's telegram before I went down to Portsmouth. You haven't heard, have you?
No. Well, he said he'd write, but he hasn't.
Well, I must assume that all is well, and as he indicated. That his parents are safe and, well, he's with them.
Yes, I suppose he is. Oh, I must tell Nanny you're back. And Laura.
Laura? Yeah. Yes, I'm glad she's here.
Did you tell him about me?
No, I haven't. It was just about Liz coming back this evening. He's not in a terribly good mood.
Oh, how do you think he'll take it?
Take what?
When he knows I really am going to Spain.
I don't know, Laura. I honestly don't know.
He never believed I'd get the visa.
Do you think he'll try and stop me at the last minute?
Oh, he can't. You're not his daughter. He wouldn't let me go, I know that. But you're different, you're free.
Yes, but if he's kind of responsible for me now, as he told my aunt and uncle he was...
Well, that's just living with us, having your home here. Well, I don't think he'd actually interfere with what you want to do.
Don't you? Even though I'm under 21?
No, because he's not your legal guardian. But you'll have to tell him you're going. He'd expect you to.
When?
Well, this evening, if you get the chance.
All right, I will. I'll have to. Won't I?
No, come in, Vicky. I was just...
Sorry, but it's me.
Laura, come in.
Thank you.
Something you want?
Could I talk to you?
Yes, I should think so. Would you like a drink?
Well, could I have a glass of sherry, please?
You may. All right. Sit you down. Be careful not to crumple that pretty dress you're wearing.
Thank you. No, I won't crumple it.
Now then, what can I do for you?
I thought I ought to tell you that I had a letter this afternoon from Manfred de las Rivas. You know, the young Spaniard.
Yes, of course I know.
Yes, well, apparently his ambulance unit is complete now, and he's got all the necessary papers and permits, and we're to sail next Friday.
Are you? Oh, as soon as that?
Yes.
I see.
So I'll be leaving here on Wednesday morning for London. I have to get a uniform and something called field equipment and various things, and meet Manfred and the others for final instructions, and, well, it was just to let you know that I was going on Wednesday.
Laura, you know, we all feel a little bit responsible for you, especially as you're not yet of age. Now, I'm not your father. I'm not your legal guardian.
Yes, I know, and I've already asked my aunt and uncle, and they said I could do what I liked.
Oh, did they? Well, now your grandmother's dead, they are your next of kin. So, if they've agreed, there's not much I can do, except, try and persuade you to change your mind.
I'm afraid I can't do that, Commander Bourne. I'm quite determined to go.
Oh, my dear child. Now, I'm sure your motives are entirely noble and humanitarian,
They are. I want to nurse the wounded and the sick women and children behind the firing line, as well as our soldiers at the front.
Our soldiers? Well, what do you mean by our soldiers? We're not involved, nor on the fringe. And we've signed a non-intervention pact. Means we're not going to send arms to either side, however much the Labour left may scream for us to do so. I think you ought to know that. Remember it.
I do know that, Commander Bourne. By our soldiers, I meant Manfred's people, the decent, ordinary, Christian people of Spain.
All right. Who choose to ally themselves to Hitler and Mussolini and what they stand for?
Yes, to save the whole world from Bolshevism.
Oh, dear. Your Manfred's words, no doubt.
Yes, that's what he says.
Now, Laura, listen to me for a moment. Because I want you to think out very carefully the implications of what you're doing. Now, I admit, many people of great influence in this country, some even in the cabinet, who want General Franco to defeat the Spanish Republican government. But in throwing in your lot with the philanderist, and I prefer to call them fascists, then you're simply offering comfort and succor to the dangerous men who exercise power in Rome and Berlin, the dictators. My goodness me. We shall probably have our own war soon enough. You'll get the chance to put on a uniform, nurse at the front, but not in this civil war in Spain. Now, this one is not for us. We must stay neutral, learn a lesson from it, but we must keep out. So, Laura, I'm asking you, now, please think again before it's too late.
But I have thought again and again. I've thought of practically nothing else since I got back from Germany. And I agree with those cabinet ministers you mentioned. But I don't think it's enough to sit back and hope Franco will win. I mean, supposing he didn't. Would you really like to see Spain go communist?
Dear child, there are plenty of other parties supporting the government besides communists. Socialists, anarchists, liberals, even a few churchmen. It's not to mention the Catalans and the Basques who are looking for their independence.
I dare say, but the communists are the bosses. They've got the Russians there helping them. If they won, Spain would be Stalin's colony. Is that what you want?
No, but equally,
I'm sorry, Commander Bourne. I am grateful, truly grateful for all you've done for me. But if you believed in a cause, wouldn't you do everything you could to help it?
All right, Laura. So you leave on Wednesday?
I was thinking if I could catch the 8:57 from Albury.
Yes, of course. Gates will drive you in.
Thank you, Commander Bourne. I won't disturb you any more. It was only to tell you.
One long-lost older sister, safe and sound.
Well, I'm back. Where's Daddy? We're in the study. You'll be so pleased to see you. Do go in.
How's Laura?
All right, thanks. And you?
Oh, no, Vicky. Best leave them, just for a moment.
Oh, yes. Right you are.
I thought it must be you. Had a car.
Oh, Daddy.
There, now. Well. Well, it's nice to have you home. We were all worried about you. There's a rotten end to your digging holiday, isn't it? I'm glad you're all right. Oh, now, come along. Come on. Now, why don't you go upstairs, change into something for dinner. Nanny's put some things out for you. And we'll have a nice long talk later on. Oh, this won't be a moment. Just popping up to change into something for dinner. Oh, Peter, old chap, it's good to see you.
Good evening, sir. I'm sorry I couldn't get here any earlier. It's my fault entirely. Got held up on the telephone, actually. A bit of bother with one of our planes flying out of the Channel Islands. Forced down near Southampton in bad weather. I had to arrange for the freight to be sent out by ship.
It's rotten luck, isn't it? Well, how are things otherwise?
Oh, fine. Oh, I heard from Nice today. Jack's hard at work already. And Phyllis seems to be enjoying the sunshine and bouillabaisse.
That's splendid. Oh, by the way, thank you very much for bringing Liz home. I'll telephone Rosie in a moment.
Isn't Laura's news exciting, Peter?
Yes.
Now, why don't you come and tell me some more about Nice?
Well, I was thinking, Laura, you could have Liz's old camping equipment. Well, there's a flea bag and
The less you say to Peter about me in Spain, the better. Do you mind, Vic? Sorry.
Gosh, I hope Liz won't be too long changing. I'm starving.
I expect she's rather got out of the habit of changing in the last month or so, you know? Out of practice.
Right. Been living rough for Liz.
Are you very angry with me?
Oh, there's no point in going over old ground. Oh, you're back and safe. That's the main thing. Oh, whatever happened between you and Gwilym, whatever made you quarrel, part company with the fella. Well, that's your affair. None of my business. Oh, my dear child. All I want to be sure of, and how many times have I said this before, is that you're reasonably happy. Are you?
Well, I'm still in a bit of a muddle about lots of things. I can't seem to understand my own feelings. My emotions tell me one thing and my reason something else. Oh, dear, I am a mess, Daddy. I mean, what's the matter with me?
Nothing. Oh, you're just tired, that's all. Been the end of a long and difficult year for all of us. Now, why not stay here for a bit now, eh? Rest of the summer holidays. And play a bit of tennis, like I suggested before. Huh? Lie in the garden under the old cedar tree, read a good book. Just be home for a bit, eh? How about it?
I don't deserve you.
Oh, rubbish. Now then, how about an early bed, Doctor? Huh? Just for tonight?
Yes, I'm still awfully tired. My own fault, of course. Well, I'll go up now. Good night, Daddy. It's lovely to be home. Good night, all. I'm going up to bed now. Good night, Liz.
Good night, Liz.
Not too late, Vicky. I'll come with you, Liz. Wait for me.
It's not that I'm envious of Manfred. Well, not altogether. I'm a bit, of course, because you seem to love him, and I want you to love me.
I love you both, Peter, but in different ways.
But I care what happens to you. Okay, maybe he cares too. God, I can't see you being killed by some stray shell or machine gun bullet or blasted by some German Condor Legion bomber.
I hardly think a nationalist ambulance unit will be bombed by German planes.
Russian, then what's the difference? Just can't stand the thought of you, a young English girl, not long out of school, dragged out there by some Spanish hunter.
Don't call Manfred that, please. When I've told you 100 times I'm not being dragged, Peter, I want to go.
To be killed together, gloriously, I suppose, for the cause of fascism. To die in his arms, in the filthy, dusty, blood-stained soil of Spain. Is that what you want? Is it? Someone's coming.
At this hour?
Someone just drove up in a small sports car. We can see from the window. Is it Rosie come to fetch you, Peter?
It's late. But she would have telephoned. Anyway, it's not her car.
I hear a car.
Yes, sir.
Oh, my dear fellow. Come in. All right, Cries. Now, what's happened?
I'm sorry to come here like this and disturb you so late into the night when you will not expect me. Horrible things have been done in Munich in the name of the German people. Please, may I be admitted to your house for the night?
My dear fellow, of course you may. Welcome at any time. Vicky, you take his hat.
Vicky? My Vicky.
Now, Klaus, how did you hear about the arrest?
From the Breuers, our neighbors across the street. They woke in the night to hear 4 cars drive up to our house. There were shouts, and Frau Breuer could hear my mother crying out. Lights were put on all over the house, and men were searching every room. They took my mother and my father from their beds. There's no time to dress, but to put on a night robe. They threw them into one of the cars and drove away. The other men, so Herr Breuer told me, stayed in the house all night searching, with 2 more on guard at the gate.
Well, that must have been when Grandpa telephoned to Munich for Laura.
When I was in Salzburg.
Where were your parents taken to that night, do you know?
I found out later on they were taken to the Gestapo headquarters, as they were kept for the rest of the night. My mother was not very well, but she was not allowed to lie down, only to sit on a hard bench while they questioned my father for 2.5 hours.
Now, what sort of question?
About his visit to England and Ireland, about my employment in the Reichsbank in London, and about my friendship with your daughter. The daughter of a British politician, they said. And of reports they had from a former servant of our house, of my father's dislike for the National Socialist Party and of the Fuhrer himself. They struck him twice in the face.
They let him go.
They let my mother go, but only with an escort to my uncle's house nearby. That is my father's brother, Uncle Ulrich. He's head of the West Irish Bank and a friend of Dr. Schacht. He promised to keep her in the house while they put my father on trial for making propaganda against the Reich and for spying for the British.
There's your Nazi government for you. A gang of thugs.
Trumped-up charges, eh? One of those sort of trials.
Yes, false charges against an innocent man who served his country well. My father was an officer of the Uhlans and a loyal Sherman. His trial lasted only a few hours. It was last Wednesday. He was found guilty, and they sent him to a labor camp just outside Munich.
That's his Dachau, I suppose.
You know of it?
Yes, I've heard of it.
When you said in your telegram that you knew where they were and we weren't to go on searching, did you know your father was in this camp?
Yes, Gott sei Dank, he was released after only a few days because my mother was so ill with pneumonia.
Who arranged his release?
And they allowed my Uncle Ulrich to see him. He's also a friend of General Beck, the Army Chief of Staff. Beck told my uncle to advise my father that he must take back his words.
Recant, retract?
Yes. He must sign a paper on how he regrets what he has said, and because he was a long time in the Wehrmacht, they let him go to care for my mother.
So he's free. And your mother?
She's better and free, yes, in a way. But they must not leave Germany and go abroad ever again. They have their Ausweis.
Passports?
Yes, their passports have been taken away from them. They must remain always in Munich and report to the police every week.
Like prisoners on license, huh?
Yes. So they are safe. They are at home, but they are disgraced, geschändet, without honor.
Oh, Klaus, now what are you going to do now, huh? I stay on over here, work at the Reichsbank?
Stay in your flat in Chesham Street?
Yes, it is my father's wish that I remain here and do my work, and keep my mouth closed. Also, I shall stay close to Vicky.
I've been damned unfair to you, Klaus. I thought at first... Well, Vicky will explain. I'm terribly sorry what's happened.
It's all right.
Yes, well, if nobody minds, I think I want to get back to Layford. Rose will be wondering where I've got to.
Righto, Peter, you pop along back. We'll look after Klaus.
Well, good night, Laura. If you're going off on Wednesday morning to London, won't see you again. So goodbye and good luck in Spain.
Good night, Peter.
Unless I could take you to the station.
I think Commander Bourne has ordered the car from here.
Gates can be told if you'd like to go in with Peter.
Well, it's for Laura to say. I would like to take you to the train.
All right, then, if you want to.
Well, good night, and excuse me.
Yes, of course.
Well, if Klaus is to stay, we must get a room ready for him.
We'll even go in Mr. Ashley's room. There are clean sheets on the bed in there.
It's so kind of you.
Not at all. Now then, you go up with Liz and Nanny and Vicky. And they'll see you. Now, you get a good night's sleep, and then we'll have another talk again in the morning.
Thank you, sir. I'm so grateful.
Well, Laura, there's your Nazis for you. Disgrace to European civilization. Vermin. Only fit to be exterminated like rats, even if it means going to war to do it.
Why?
Now, you heard what Klaus said.
Was it so very terrible? His father was plotting against the regime. He told us when he was here. He was a traitor, and so he was arrested and tried. Nothing was done to him. He's been released.
To house arrest. Only because the von Heinigs pulled strings at the highest level. Well, I hope Klaus at least has seen the light. Poor devil.
I'll go out now, Commander Bourne, if you'll excuse me.
Yes, do. Sleep well, Laura.
Yes, I'll try.
Morning, Anna.
What are you doing up out of your bed, young lady? Now, you promised me you would have a lie-in this morning and a good rest.
It's much too nice to stay in bed this morning. Well, look at that sky. Not a cloud.
But did you get a good night's sleep?
No, not very. I lay awake for hours. Oh, I think I heard the church clock strike 4. It might have been 3. I must have turned over 100 times. My pillow's all crumpled up.
Well then, sooner you pop back into bed again and catch up on some proper sleep, the better. Off you go, young lady.
I may later. I just felt like talking to someone. I feel all sort of funny. I keep wanting to cry. Isn't it absurd?
You're overtired, my girl. That's why you're wakeful like that. It's a sure sign.
It's just that everything seems to be in a turmoil these days. But you know, muddled and rather frightening. Klaus back in a state from Germany and Laura going off to Spain. And Vicky all sad and worried. And Daddy away in London such a lot. I just feel our home is falling to pieces. I don't know what my future is or anybody's. Nan, sometimes I feel I want to go to sleep forever and not wake up.
Now, there's no need for that silly talk. Everything's all right. You go back to your bed and rest, and I'll come along in a wee while. And I'll finish these.
Yes, all right. You know, Nan, the only place I really feel safe and sure of everything is up here in our old nursery. With good old Nan ironing away like a solid rock.
You know, you're a wicked wee girl.
Yes. Yes, I am, Nan.
Oh,
I really must pull myself together. It's quite ridiculous to feel so miserable and depressed on such a lovely day. I'll go back and try to sleep a bit longer.
Now I'll be along in a wee while to tuck you in.
Thanks, Nan. Love that.
Oh, going to church this evening then, Nanny?
Oh, yes. I never miss the floral festival. Such a lovely service. The whole church all decorated with banks of flowers.
Yes, I know. Fred went along earlier with a whole cartful from the garden. I remember how Mrs. Bourne used to love the flower service.
Oh, yes, she did that.
But why did they hold it on a weekday, Nanny?
Well, you know, I don't know how that started, but it's been an old tradition in Winchley. Evensong, the first Tuesday in September. Oh, my. It's close this evening.
Yes.
What a breath of air.
It is a bit stuffy in here. I'll open the door. There. That's better. And how's poor Mr. Klaus today, then?
Oh, well, I think he's a wee bit less tired by this afternoon. But he was fairly lording it in his bed this morning with wee Vicky in attendance. I hear she came down here early and got his breakfast in a tray.
She did. Oh, well, after all he's been through in Germany. Oh, you heard about General and Frau von Einig? Those dreadful Nazis. Do you know, I could hardly believe it when Miss Vicky told me. Imagine a thing like that happening in this country. And to think one day Miss Vicky might marry that young man and go and live over there among people like that. Oh, it makes me shudder just to think of it, Nanny.
God forbid, darling.
I mean, I know he's a nice enough young man and that. We all know. But I'd rather she married an Englishman. And you, Nanny?
Or a Scotsman.
Get on with you.
Ah, there you are,
Oh,
Nan.
is it time, dearie?
Oh, it's getting on. We're walking this evening.
Well, I'm ready.
I'll go and ferret Daddy out of his study.
Oh, and by the way, don't disturb Liz, please, Irene. I would like her to have another whole day in bed.
Yeah, and Lady Bourne's in her room too. Hey, it's getting more like a nursing home than a country house. I don't know.
Listen, someone's in there. Who's he talking to? I can only hear one voice. Then he's talking to someone on the telephone. Or to himself. Does he? Not that I know of. Come on, we better go in.
The brazen altar which was before the Lord. And King Ahaz commanded the high priest Jerijah, saying, come in and sit down. No, in the corner pew, where I can keep an eye on you. Saying, upon the great altar, burn the morning burnt offering, and the evening meat offering, and the king's burnt sacrifice, and his meat offering with a burnt offering of all the people of the land.
Mrs. Gates.
And please, be quiet and go out. And they have meat offering, and they have drink offerings, and sprinkle upon it all the blood of the burnt offering.
Oh, Daddy, that's disgusting.
Will you please be quiet until I finish? Now, there you are. You see, now I've lost the place. Of the burnt offering, and all the blood of the sacrifice, and the brazen altar shall be for me to inquire by. And thus did Jerijah the priest, as King Ahaz had commanded. There endeth the first lesson, despite interruptions from the congregation.
Interruptions? They'll be running to the exits to be sick.
I must say, it's all a bit bloody. Why on earth has the rector chosen that lesson for the flower service?
Well, I can't imagine. Unless, of course, he's thinking of the ox blood people used to manure their vines. No, I'm afraid old Morris Fuller's getting a bit confused in his old age. Still, he is retiring soon, and the second lesson is consider the lilies of the field.
Oh, but Daddy, couldn't you have spoken to him about that first one? I mean, as church warden.
Oh, darling, I could have, but it would have taken me half the morning to explain what I was talking about. No, as a matter of fact, I did approach Mrs. Cartner as the other church warden if she'd speak, but she funked it too. So you'll have to put up with your burnt offerings. Now, what's the time?
Well, it's time we were going. Nanny's ready and waiting in the hall.
All right, well, off we go then. Vicky, dear, have you got your collection?
A florin I borrowed from Nanny. I'll pay it back as soon as my allowance comes through.
Sorry for the delay, Nan. Little bit of difficulty with the lesson.
Well, I advise you to block up your ears, Nan. It's absolutely disgusting.
How can you say such a thing, Vicky? The Bible's not disgusting.
Well, some of it is, isn't it, Laura?
All I know is a girl in my school got caned for reading the Apocrypha in chapel. The headmistress had declared it unsuitable reading for young ladies.
Really?
Yes.
A somewhat depleted party, I'm afraid, Nan. But I dare say we can fill up the family pew if we spread ourselves out a bit.
May I come, please?
Klaus, you don't have to.
I should like very much to go as you all to church, if I may.
Well, yes, of course you may if you'd like to. Don't feel bound in any way.
I should like to go. Flower service sounds like a service for peace.
Yeah. Yes, I suppose it is in a way.
You know, even the church bells have a sound of peace. They help us to forget the horrible realities.
It's a good thing you're coming, Klaus. The commander was just saying we could do with a few more to fill up the family pew.
Good. Now we've got one more bum.
Vicky!
Well, I didn't mean Klaus as a bum. You know, a tramp. I meant his bottom.
Yes, well, we do understand you, Vicky. Well, now, come along if we're walking. Well, the first lesson's still fresh in my mind. Now, come on, Oliver.
I'm so glad you're coming.
As long as there's really room for me in the family.
Quite right, man. Really, it's time old Morris Fuller gave up. He's getting quite incomprehensible. I think it's those new teeth they've given him.
Was that what it was? I couldn't have heard a word of his sermon. He seemed to be talking with his mouth full. I thought he was maybe still finishing his teeth.
He does repeat himself, doesn't he?
Yes, because he said, it is our Christian duty to love and respect one another. And then he said later, our duty as Christians is to respect and cherish one another. And then, towards the end, he said, every Christian has a duty to his neighbour to show love and respect. Same thing, 3 times.
Gosh, look at that. German Air Might, Eden Warren's cabinet. Well, you're German Air Might, aren't you, Klaus? Or some of it.
I don't think we need concern ourselves with headlines of that sort. Now, who's regards to shave before dinner? We shan't change tonight.
It's not true, Commander Bourne. I know the facts.
About the German Air Force?
I'm a lieutenant of the Luftwaffe Reserve. And I can tell you we have not enough machines to train our new pilots. I should not say this. Maybe I shall be tried for a spy like my father. But you are my friends, And I can say in this house that your newspapers only repeat the propaganda from the office of Dr. Goebbels, wishing to make afraid all the countries of Europe. Now, we are not so strong on land or in the air.
Your country's political voice is extremely strong, Klaus. Whatever military power is or is not there to back it up. The French and ourselves will need to muster all the nerve and courage we have. Say no to your Chancellor. Risk plunging the world into another war. However, that's not your problem, is it? Well, so long as you're staying here with us, it's our problem.
Daddy, don't let's talk about war. It does upset Klaus, doesn't it?
A little, yes.
I'm so sorry. Let's change the subject, have some sherry. And for goodness sake, burn that wretched newspaper. Only Max Beaverbrook, you know, trying to bump up his circulation, scaring everybody to death.
Why don't you and Vicky play a nice little duet on the piano?
Yes, do.
Shall we?
Yes, something cheerful. Cheer us up.
Yes, what though? Play that rollicking drinking song we all sang in the beer cellar in Munich.
Oh, no, not that.
Yes, come on. If we're going to drink sherry, we must have a drinking song.
Yes, of course. Drink, brewed a line, drink, or one of those sort of things.
Come, Vicky, we shall play something for the drinking. Follow me. Okay? And... Yes.
Are you leaving us?
I'm just going out to take off my hat.
Right, we'll have a glass of sherry when you come down.
Good evening.
Peter.
Hello, chap. Well, I didn't see you in church.
I didn't go. Is Laura here?
Well, she's just gone upstairs to take off her hat.
Good evening, Klaus.
Hello.
I'm sorry to barge in like this. I rather want to see Laura.
Oh, yes, of course. Pop up.
Oh, good. I'll go and find her.
There we are.
Thank you.
I think I'm going to go into the study. You might tell me when dinner's ready, won't you?
How shall I entertain you?
We shall entertain each other by playing another duet.
Oh, yes, let's.
Do you remember this one?
Oh, yes.
I've got to talk to you, Laura.
No, Peter, no. For the last time, will you please accept that I am going?
Even after what's happened to Klaus's parents in Munich?
Oh, don't you start that.
What do you mean?
Well, that's what the commander was saying. But the point is, nothing has happened to the von Eynicks. They're back in their own home.
They were brutally treated there under house arrest.
Are you surprised? In this country, traitors would finish up in the tower. Anyway, it's got nothing to do with me going to Spain to join the Christian Crusade.
Fascist crusade.
Peter, please. We've been over all that again and again. Anyhow, I thought we said goodbye last night until tomorrow morning.
We did. I couldn't sleep last night, not a wink. Worrying about you and wondering how in God's name I could stop you. So I decided to come round here this evening and make just one more attempt in forcing you to see reason.
I'm sorry, Peter, but you're still wasting your time. Please go away now and leave me. And come back tomorrow morning with your car and take me to the train.
I think, after all, you better ask Commander Bourne to send you into Horbury. I'm not prepared to have another row with you. So, I'll say goodbye. It's time for good. And bon voyage, Laura. Keep your head down when the shelling starts. And remember, for what it's worth, I shall be thinking of you. Possibly praying. Not that that'll help much. I'm not in very good odour with God at the moment. But I just happen to love you. Rather a lot. So don't get killed if you can possibly help it.
Peter, I'm sorry.
Did you find Laura?
Yes, I did, thank you.
Sure you won't stay?
No, I'm expected back for dinner. And by the way, could you tell your father that I won't be coming in the morning to take Laura to the station? So if Gates or someone could...
Yes, of course. Well, if Gates can't, Daddy will or Liz.
Thank you.
Poor Peter. So awful for him.
I'm sure he'll be all right. Expect your Spanish friend knows the ropes.
Yes, he does.
if you do have any problems, run into any difficulties at all. Now, this is a letter, the British consul, San Sebastian. He's a very old friend of mine. Get in touch with him. He'll help you.
Thank you.
Or through the Red Cross, of course.
Yes.
Well, better be off. You miss your train.
Yes.
Laura, there is just one thing I'd like to say to you before you go. I still think you're misguided and wrong to support the fascist cause, but I must say, I admire your courage, your determination, and your gut. Well, I think that's about all I can say, except I hope God takes very good care of you.
Thank you.
Gates is ready with the car.
Oh, good.
Your big case is in.
Thanks.
I don't suppose people send postcards of the battlefield, but if they do, will you send me one? Just to let me know where you are.
It won't be, this is our hotel and X marks my window. I'll be in a tent or in the open.
Yes, I suppose you will.
Well, toodaloo, Vic. I'll be back one day.